Hello and good morning, everyone! Welcome to the Overwatch League qualifiers for the Spring Stage. You can see we're live at the WDG Esports studio in Seoul. Hey, that's us. Wish we looked that good, though. We got 2 matches today, though. It's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, well, we can pretend. We'll do a dub version, Lemon. Do you prefer your Owlcast subbed or dubbed?
I wish I just had the suit on like they do. I just gotta put my sweater on. I'm cozy, though.
2 a.m. suit meta. That's when you're really giving it your all. We do have some bangers today, including one that's going to be live in our WDG Esports studio in Seoul, Korea. Remember, we've got plenty of stuff happening in Seoul this year. Our mid-season madness is also going to be taking place in South Korea. In Gintex, I believe. I'm not sure if that's a neighborhood in Seoul or if it's a separate city. I know there's a big conglomeration of cities around there, like Incheon. So I'm not all up on the South Korean like civic geography, but I will get there by the end.
You will be
of
quizzed
this year.
at the end of the show.
there will
So
be
get
a
to
quiz.
Man,
That's a former teacher. She knows how to put those together.
I will fail you automatically because I will do that. East has started off shaky. I mean, let's start with the elephant in the room. Dallas Fuel moving to the APAC side of things, not getting the start that they want. They lost 3-0 to Guangzhou, then Hangzhou, 3-0 Shanghai. So it was kind of this explosive statement for day one. And then on the next week, then you had the Seoul versus Seoul, which that went to a 5-er. That was probably the most exciting match we've had so far.
Yeah, but the Soul Bowl went all the way, and it did mean that the other casters did have to deal with a lot of profit versus prophet, which is why we're going to be leaning into calling prophet with an EPH, which is, I believe, what we've collectively decided to take a stand on as casters, because Soul decided to sign 2 DPS with the same name. Like, they're not even on different roles there, but it's honestly, it's a personal attack, really.
Yeah. How could they? And then Dallas had their second match, and you thought, okay, was it the difference of play styles? Was it just tougher teams on the eastern side of things? They did take a map against the Hangzhou Spark, who were looking like at least touted as the best team in the east according to everyone's power rankings. Then Infernal 3-0'd Shanghai just recently. So we are on week 2, but our 3rd day of east matches, I believe. It's been a whole bunch of days going on. But we got 2 matches today. It'll be fun. It'll be hopefully not quick. I hope it'll be close. But this is all to give some seeding to our OWL teams heading to knockouts.
Yeah, heading over to knockouts. We've already finished our qualification for contenders teams. We went from open division to contenders and then over to our Spring Stage Opens. Those broadcasts were happening on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday last week, and Monday, Tuesday this week, which is why you might have missed them if you happen to be doing things like going to school or going to work instead. But there are plenty of excellent VODs I can highly recommend. No one's surprised that O2 Blast came out as a front row, well, our #1 competitor out of that bracket, but it was split in 2. So O2 Blast didn't actually face our 2nd place team. Poker Face, another Korean team coming out of Korean contenders, who managed to go undefeated in their own bracket as well after struggling to qualify from open division. Sometimes Lemon Time could heal all wounds, and we're hoping that it'll heal up a couple of Dallas Fuel's recent wounds as well, because these are our East teams, and as you said, Dallas Fuel, they're having a rough start.
Well, there's also stronger starts looking at Hangzhou, Guangzhou. We got 2 Souls, no Chengdu. It's a different season, a different look. And you pointed out our contenders teams. And yeah, the knockouts will have contenders versus Overwatch League. I hope you all know that by now. But there's so many regions that competed in those open qualifiers, and APAC got cut in half. We just don't have that many APAC teams. Australia didn't make it through. Korea dominated, but of course APAC was a lot closer than we expected. Here's your schedule of how today will roll down. Will we see Fuel get more than 1 map win? Will Seoul go 2-1? And then we have Seoul versus Guangzhou as our last match of the day.
Yeah, Seoul versus Guangzhou is going to be really interesting, as of course Guangzhou looks dominant in their match against the Dallas Fuel. I think it wasn't just Dallas Fuel losing, it was Guangzhou Charge winning to a certain degree. Choice Tier 1 is looking as strong as ever, but this really does feel like a year where Guangzhou Charge might not trip over their untied shoelaces, which is which has been the case for a while since their last tournament win, which I believe was in 2020 in one of the early tournaments that was split up, maybe the Summer Showdown there. That was a Sigma meta where Krong could dominate. Krong's not on that roster anymore. But to focus in on Dallas Fuel versus Seoul Infernal, both of these teams are located in the local area for the WDG Esports studio. So both of them are going to be in studio and ready to show off in front of the fans. And to be honest, that's pretty important for Seoul Infernal as a newer brand coming into the league, rebranded, of course, from the Philadelphia Fusion with their transplantation to the East and much bigger integration into a T1 brand that has been a strong legacy brand across all of esports. It's been important for Seoul to connect with their local audience.
Dallas Fuel with the walkout. WDG. Yeah, I was going to say, if you hear some noises in the background, we got the crowd mics live from WDG Studios. Dallas Fuel looking for more than just one map win. A roster you may recognize, of course. We got Sparkle, Edison on DPS. Recognize that tall one as Edison. Didn't change his haircut either. Hanbin. Okay, we got the Doomfist punch from Hanbin. Everyone falls to the ground. And MCD and Bliss on support.
Yeah, MCD and Bliss, definitely the newbies coming into this roster. We know that Hanbin, Sparkle, and Edison was part of the core that won Overwatch League last year. Chio and Fielder were picked up as a duo by the Atlanta Reign, who are really looking to level up into a championship contending roster this year. Seoul Infernal on the other side coming on out. Mag, this could be a big redemptive arc for him. It's been an ignominious run thus far in Overwatch League, but this could be where it all turns around for the main tank player.
What I'm excited about for Seoul, Zest and MN3. You recognize a lot of these players from the Philadelphia Fusion. Oh, the Earth Shatter! Mag got him on the ground. Skewed is like, can I go to bed now? But,
do you mind if I just stay down here? Is that okay?
Can I just have a nap? I like the rollouts on stage from both our teams. The last time we had a match at the WDG Studios was Seoul versus Seoul. That went all the way to 5. We said that was the most exciting match of the day. Right, I guess we got Queens versus Demons, but maybe to say that when it comes to Rush, Dallas Fuel do like their Junker Queen.
They do like their Junker Queen. Dallas Fuel saw a couple of teams playing Junker and like, hold up, we're pretty good at this. Of course, Dallas Fuel were fairly dominant in the Jokes meta back in our third stage of 2022. Some people remember it fondly, some people less so. Seoul Infernal, though, they're going to have to contend with the Junker Queen, and it can be a little bit harder to try and deal with. Hangzhou Spark yesterday, they decided that their best way to try and deal with the Junker Queen was to try and out-brawl it using the Reinhardt, but the Junker Queen doesn't play as brawly as a Rein because it's often accompanied by far more flank-centric DPS, which, like the Sombra, as you can see from the EMP and a little still here from our match preview.
Yeah, the Junker Queen versus Reinhardt's matchup we've seen in the qualifiers where the Reinhardt will usually hold the Earth Shatter just for the Queen. In case she goes for a rampage, you can kind of stop her halfway until she hits your backline. Sparkle playing mostly Tracer this season, and you know, some Genji sprinkled on in there, but Edison primarily on the Sombra, and I think that fits their style well. So it looks like we'll be heading into the match shortly. Boys in blue versus the boys in red. Dallas Fuel looking for more than just a map win, a series win, but against the tough opponent of the 4th seed of the Seoul Infernal, who have already set ablaze this league. And let's take a look at the hype video for the Dallas Fuel.
Ungodly connection there with the rampage, and Harpin, he's come up with the goods again. And Fielder goes down. It's going to be Sal Mary ready for 4. One goes down. Went 3. And Dallas Fuel, Overwatch League champions.
Set the league alight, set a soul aflame, but Lemon, can they set themselves on the road to their first series victory here in our 2023 season? It's not been a glorious step down from the throne that they captured in 2022. Here's a quick look into the roster straight away again. Once again, I'm drawing attention over to this support line. The lesser proven members of the Dallas Fuel, Hanbin, Edison, and Sparkle obviously were there in the hype video, lifting the trophy. MCD's had a run in Overwatch League across multiple teams that hasn't been the most powerful, but now with these powerhouse tank and DPS players, this is MCD's chance to prove themselves. And the same could be said of Bliss, who's come over from a dominant run on O2 Blast, who were a legendary team who rarely ever dropped a series.
The Fuel fans, I don't know what that says. I don't read Korean, but I see a crying bear. And I know the Dallas Fuel fans want to go back to that championship prime that they were known for. But on the other side is the Seoul Dynasty players from the Philadelphia Fusion, loving their dive. They don't play as much Sombra as Dallas does. MN3 is the star, I think, on this team. Plays a lot of Hanzo and Ashe, the occasional Sombra, but a lot of double flanker from this team using the dive of Mag. A lot of Winston from him too. This will be exciting to see how this match goes. And even interestingly, Seoul, Mag, Orisa. One of the few teams that have incorporated that, I believe, on Nepal's Sanctum. Got some fresh haircuts, even matching the jersey. But let's take a look at the hype video for the Seoul Infernal.
Volume pumped. Jen, that was an insight there into MN3's breakout game in the Overwatch League. They're on New Quintra. I believe it was against the Seoul Dynasty. This is when MN3 really demanded the world pay attention to this hit scan prodigy. We've known for a while that MN3 was a bit of a Himothy. He was that guy when it came to the hit scan, playing on Element Mystic for a while. And you know the Element Mystic scouting processes were some of the best in the world. And Skewed, of course, was known for a while as probably the best Brigitte in the league, playing with the LA Gladiators, but we always knew that Skewed was secretly the flex support. He was living in Shu's shadow. He was forced to toil in the mines of Brigitte, when really he wanted to break free and be the honor he knew that he could be, and this is his chance over on the Seoul Infernal. Is that a turtle holding up a sign?
I know, I'm trying to inquire about this turtle lore.
Yo, what's the turtle lore, bro?
Figure out the memes behind that.
Is that Master Uwe?
Also, speaking of the Dallas Fuel, they, Hanbin had the Doomfist rollout on stage, punching out his team, hoping to do the same against the Seoul Infernal. I think we've seen some Doomfist from Hanbin, at least on Nepal Village, but didn't work out. They changed mid-round, and that's what I like about the Dallas Fuel. They're good at recognizing their mistakes, but a matchup you gotta watch out for, the battle of flex DPS between Sparkle and Zest.
Yeah, these are the Tracer stats coming on in for these players. It's worth noting, I'm just going to contextualize these stats a touch. Zest's stats were very good yesterday, but he was against the Shanghai Dragons, which is where you can try and run a numbers game, you can try and really minimize how many deaths you're taking, get a bunch of damage there. It was actually a huge amount of tank focus yesterday, blowing up Fleta as quickly as possible. Zest was bullying Fleta, making sure that he could not get a singular dive off. So while the stats for Zest are impressive, I think Sparkles have been generated in a slightly more challenging environment when having to go up against both Choice A1 and Leave.
First map, Oasis, best of 5 in case you're new here. Thinking back on Oasis Seoul, when they faced Seoul, I believe, in the game 5. The last map was Oasis, went to round 3, and City Center was the only round that Mag and friends ended up winning. Shambali will be exciting too. We saw MN3 on the Bastion on the attacking side of things. I really like the innovation that comes from the Infernal.
Yeah, and Infernal, like you said, innovating. touch of Bastion, touch of Orisa. This definitely seems a team that is willing to play something a little bit outside of a box, whereas Dallas Fuel, they love to hone in on one comp and get really, really good at it. That's why they've been leaning into this Hanbin Junker Queen, which seems to have been their bread and butter, playing like this pseudo brawl where you try and force your opponents into close quarters, and generally you'll hope that Mag, as a Winston preferer, a Winston enjoyer, some might say, would be rolling out on that hero by default, which is where Junker Queens at her best, can really mess with the disengagements of a Winston by hitting a well-placed knife.
They said, good job, Black Day. You formed a sentence.
Thanks.
Clap, clap,
Thank
clap.
you, audience.
All right, here it is. Dallas Fuel with the Junker Queen rush we know and love, with the Lucio to speed him right to the high ground. On the other side, Soul, usual dive. They never really stray away from this. Lacking the speed, though, it'll all be about packing those flankers, as Soul actually head back after scouting to change up the strat.
All right, Soul Infernal. They have done a little bit of their homework here. Watched how Hangzhou managed to deal with this comp previously, and this is exactly what Gushui did to try and waylay the efforts of Hanbin, who can't really jump down into this roster because the frontline damage of Cassidy and Amei is so much greater.
How does Soul Infernal engage this? Fuel can now take angles around them. Sparkle putting that harassment into Mag, who's dropped his armor and now in a vulnerable position. As Soul haven't engaged on anything yet, they're sitting ducks, hoping that their terrifying presence will zone the Dallas Fuel off, which seems to be the case. Soul Infernal have capped the point. They've spotted now Hanbin, trying to force him out so that they can wall him off, but Hanbin's not going to fall for that trick.
Now, wall back up once again for Zest. It was forced out. That's going to be the ice spot gone as well. This could be a big focusing moment here for Dallas Fuel if Edison and Sparkle can get on that target, but Mag has rescued him.
Hanbin in trouble. Soul are done waiting, but you're trapped in here with Hanbin. 1-1 trade. Swing. Mag gets the kill, returns to the point, so Dallas Fuel don't get the flip. Almost 30% now for Soul, able to even use the Ant Matrix from all the trickle damage that Dallas Fuel had at the initial part of this fight. And that was enough to get a few kills onto Dallas and for Soul to keep the point.
MCD not willing to do the TP over to Hanbin, knowing that the cleave from both the Mei Cryo Beam and the Reinhardt Hammer would be too much to survive in that. Still, it did mean there wasn't enough healing to keep Hanbin alive in this particular engagement. Rampage should be good to go soon. There's the rush.
Kitsune rush from the Dallas Fuel. They head to the high ground. They make MN3 drop to the low. Zest has the Blizzard, and then Soul say, come at me, bro. I got this one right for you. Dallas Fuel, they engage with the EMP, but it hits everyone from Soul as they were waiting for the moment to strike with Blizzard. Fuel only kill one, though. Maybe two with the EMP. Soul disengage and hope to maybe draw this fight in a different location, but now missing Skewed, this is not a Blizzard opportunity anymore.
Yeah, playing to maintain those lives, making sure that Sparkle can't get as many dash resets as he would otherwise like, is a valid strat from Soul Infernal. Gonna be coming back in here with nearly 5 ultimates. This is going to require near perfect barrier from Bliss to survive, because you can't do anything to try and shut down this Blizzard.
And then 3, Deadeye, Rampage from behind, hits the ball! Soul counteract with the barrier, trying to lock down Hanbin. They throw the Blizzard in his face. Dallas Fuel try to back up Hanbin from behind. Soul up by 1, don't have Skewed, not a lot of healing, but Soul, they got a lot of damage, and that's what matters. MCD stalling things out to 38, and Soul back on the point.
Maybe a slightly pranking moment there from Hanbin to get the 5-man Rampage, yes, but into a Deadeye so that Sparkle peeks in to try and deal with this. And, well, it's an instant kill onto who you really want to be alive to try and take advantage of that close range damage and get on top of vulnerable members like Cassidy. MCD now has moved over onto the Brigitte. Less direct healing going to be available for Hanbin here. And he's going to need to hit a big Carnage for that self-heal from the bleed.
Dallas Fuel putting all their eggs in the Sparkle basket, but you rely on him because he clutches up. He sets his eyes on the high ground. Soul clumping up, shatter onto Hanbin. Sparkle waiting for his moment to strike, still hasn't bladed yet. It's last fight, he does so with no HP. 99% for Soul, and up by 2, 5 versus 3. No ults for Fuel unless Edison lives long enough for an EMP. It's not likely though, he's translocated out. It'll be up to MCD or Sparkle to touch. MCD swat it away as Soul take round 1.
Dallas Fuel, Lemon, they are consistently running into this issue going up against the classic rush that has been around as long as we've really had back in the league. Very difficult to try and pick off any of these players. MN3 is the only really easy pick, and obviously MN3 is getting a lot of protection. Scooter's mostly serving the MO field for him. Here's a quick look at Fixer brawling out on the Lucio. Of course, Fixer was a part of the Philadelphia Fusion roster last year, which wasn't overly successful, but I wouldn't call it a failure. It did bring MN3 and Zest into the fold, which was definitely a huge pair of pickups for the Soul Infernal. They'd been grooming MN3 and Zest for a while.
What I liked about Soul's positioning is they never let MN3 be isolated. That was something that Sparkle was trying to hunt down, never found the opportunity to actually assassinate anyone, and waited until the last second to Blade, which netted nothing. Still the Rhine versus Junker Queen rush as Soul take to the hallways, ready to speed into them. Fixa about to make the call, but now that the point unlocks first, they spot actually Sparkle isolated. Dallas Fuel need to heal back up. Soul can create this wall, both with the Mei wall and with their main tank, to hold on to this main choke, and they got the point cap first. You see Scoot to the right hallway, very safe. Mag not so much, brings out the immortality. He's okay for now, but the pressure from Dallas Fuel as they bleed and strike. Soul will disengage, only losing their main tank and now more. Fuel get the point back at 15.
Yeah, Soul Infernal there, unfortunately, misunderstanding how they win in this particular matchup. They were doing super well on Gardens of actually taking the fight to Dallas Fuel and not allowing them to simply poke out for free. But if you allow for this poke fight to happen, Edison's going to build those rails. And when Edison builds rails, we saw it happen in the grand finals last year. He hits those, Lemon. Edison now almost has the overclock, but Bliss getting picked early is real bad. Now you can't control how the engagement happens. You don't have the speed.
Double fire damage. It was the dynamite and the fire strike combined. Amp Matrix to hose down the field, and Sparkle is in no man's land. You might as well drop off the map. Now he's gonna get staggered, decided to preserve his life. I'm not sure if he's getting out. Soul maybe want to cut off his route of escape. Looks like Sparkle managed to live, and that's good. 83% to Blade. That's what Fuel are banking on.
That 83% though is not going to have much behind it. It's just going to be a naked Blade. However, Hunbin gets an early pick on Zest. How?
Does it again, pulling him into the knife. Edison, the ducks are all in a row, and you gotta bowl him down. Mag living for as long as he can. Go towards the point maybe now. 41 for Soul. A quick retake for Fuel.
Maybe a slight miscom there with Mag splitting one way and Skewed splitting another. So the overall value of the immortality field was lessened when it was only for Skew to try and take a duel with Dallas Fuel. And that was also an economical fight as well. From the Fuel, only an overclock is going to be expended. The Bob here is going to be interesting, as you might have trouble actually healing through the damage the Bob brings. And it's going to be an opening.
Okay. Maybe just Bob right on the point. Shatter from Mag. Gets Hanbin on his knees. Bliss brings him back up, and you layer the rally on top. Going for more of the stuns. Setting up Sparkle for success, and he delivers, all thanks to the speed of Bliss. Sparkle gets his moment to shine, and Fuel in a serious lead.
The crowd enjoys seeing Sparkle on the signature pick. This is where Sparkle built a legend over years and years, as we wondered, when's Sparkle going to be old enough to play in the Overwatch League? The Element Mystic pickup that we've seen since about 2017, dominating on flankers. Now Soul Infernal. They need to try and get value out of this window.
What a the rampage blocked by the wall! What a play from Zest and Soul! They lay down the damage with the Amp Matrix. And speed to the point. They are very low, and they lost bodies being too eager for this fight, but I understand it's overtime for the Fuel, and it's up to MN3 to hit more headshots. It's already been 2. Behind him is the Lucio, not getting the bump into the hole of stall, and Soul live on.
And the thing is, after Hunbin gets stuck behind that wall, everyone else on the Dallas Fuel, the fight plan, right, was to move off the back of the rampage. They were caught in the crosshairs of many players behind that amplification matrix for knock-on effect. And it's all down to Zest with that excellent timing.
See Edison going to coast side with a Bliss rotation, maybe looking for an off angle with the overclock, but decides to join the army at the front, but gets swung on by Soul, who own the space. And Soul being able to live on means this is going to last fight with Soul on round point.
Yeah, Sparkle getting picked early there meant that Soul Infernal, they didn't have to pay any attention to their flanks, really. Edison just came over to the front line. There was no off-angle pressure that you'd expect from something like a Genji. Mag looking for a cheeky way to try and facilitate this Deadeye, try and potentially stop Dallas Fuel from even touching.
Oh, MN3 was looking for maybe the jump from Edison. Back cap, Sparkle waiting for his moment to assassinate. Safe on the coast side. Soul don't really have something to engage in. They wall off Hanbin, who's ended up on the high ground. MCD's isolated. Dallas Fuel just surrounding Soul like sharks. And they hunt, and they look for blood in the water. But Fuel have lost their tank while playing so split. Blizzard on the floor, the Shatter Tube. Fuel can't fight through this. And from a comeback from the depths of defeat, Soul will take map 1.
It starts with a wall and it ends with a win for the Soul Infernal. And this is one of the reasons why Zest was, for many, a dark horse MVP candidate last year. One of the MVP candidates people had a couple of head scratches over, but it's little moments like this. It's little stuff like this that got Zest picked up, you know, Lemon. And certainly showing it here against Hanbin, looking against one of the best tanks in the world and shutting down the win condition that Hanbin wanted to present to the Dallas Fuel. And Soul Infernal, they've done their homework well. They watched what Hangzhou did to shut down Dallas Fuel's jungle, and they were like, hey, we got a pretty good team for that as well. We've got a flex DPS like Zest, who's got the brain required to be a top-tier architect on the main.
Yeah, my favorite play of the day already is Zest blocking the Junker Queen Rampage, stopping the ultimate from Hanbin. That's a difficult read and a quick reaction time from Soul Infernal. Soul got a little over-eager on some approaches, maybe lost a couple bodies. MN3 picked up a couple headshots, and Fuel just didn't know how to surround and pick off Soul. We will be heading to a break, and up next, it's Blizzard World. Welcome back, everyone! Map number 2 ready to go for the Overwatch League Spring Stage Eastern Region Fuel versus Seoul. It was an 0-2 deficit for Dallas Fuel on Oasis, getting their Junker Queen composition countered by the Reinhardt of Seoul.
Yeah, the Junker Queen composition requires exacting and perfect rotations, as well as both well-coordinated splits and not isolating yourself, which can be a delicate dance, especially with both a Lucio and a Brig. Your ability to heal through a mistaken positioning or a poor split is incredibly limited. You do not have the healing, especially if your Brig is low on repair packs. And one of the things that Soul Infernal are exploiting is that they're kind of just pushing to a point, as you'd expect with a Brawl comp, and they're waiting for Dallas to make a mistake when it comes to splitting and then managing to exploit that, because there's so much more room for error on the Soul Infernal comp. And all they have to do is wait for Zest or MN3 to get a massive pop-off, and if these players happen to get isolated, Fixer and Skewed, they're generally on top of it super well. Both of these supports have been playing some incredibly good reactive playstyles, knowing that, hey, we don't have to be as proactive with MN3 and Zest being able to win most of these duels just to the amount of healing output we have, and just making sure that MN3 never gets isolated in one of those 1v1s.
That's what was important, is that MN3, even on Cassidy, you sometimes take off angles, but when he was on the high ground, Sparkle never had a chance to dive him. MN3 dropped as soon as he saw Sparkle. So when you play clumped up like that in a Reinhardt comp, they just Soul relied on Zest contact, whether with the Mei walls, which their only target, realistically, was Hanbin against the Genji, against the hyper-mobile composition of the Dallas Fuel. Soul had a way better understanding of their win conditions, which was kill Hanbin than everyone else. Dallas Fuel didn't have a clear win condition. Even Sparkle knew that, never really pulling the blade at the greatest moments, only having one pop-off moment, which wasn't enough. We go to Blizzard World. These are predetermined maps, of course. The only time we saw Blizzard World from these teams was Soul during the Soul... Oh my god. Hey, fighting! I don't know what's being said, but Blizzard World was won by Soul Infernal against the Dynasty in that Game 5, playing a lot of dive, even some Hammond.
Yeah, a little bit of the rare Hammond. Hanbin on the defense here, one of the better-known heroes that Hanbin has in their wheelhouse, is for D.Va. Although, historically, Hanbin has been able to play anything. Back in the GOATS era, Hanbin was actually the Brigitte player for Element Mystic, back when they played Doomfist Sombra GOATS, which was certainly a unique approach. Fixer using the pedal platform and then dragging Zest. That's enough fun for you. Get back to the Tracer. And Dallas Fuel finally going to have access to a little bit more healing via this Ana. But the question is, can Sparkle bring it to Zest? We know that Sparkle has been underrated on the Tracer for most of his career. A lot of people asking, when's Dallas Fuel going to get a Tracer player? Sparkle's like, I've been here all along, man. The Zest is certainly, as we saw from the stats beginning, no slouch on the time.
Mag jumps in. Already harassing Hanbin on the D.Va. This is an anti-Winston bully. As the D.Va can step in, micro missiles into the bubble. Surprising to see MN3 on the Sombra. He played a lot of Hanzo last time we saw him, but obviously knows that he would be a weakness against the double flanker dive that Fuel is known for. Hanbin demech, Sparkle removed, Zest on fire, and the hunt down for that last player as Soul will cap the point.
This guy is simply chasing. The thing is, Hanbin didn't even get a chance to actually fight with Mag in that fight. Only doing 213 damage. Hanbin seemingly a little bit more preoccupied with trying to do a touch more peel for MCD or just holding an off angle so that Zest couldn't control it. But Zest is not averse to just trying to burst down tanks with the pulse pistols, which do a fair amount of damage to those larger hitboxes. A well-placed whip shot from Bliss will keep MN3 out of stealth for now, but thus far, Mag has been feeling fairly untouched from the Winston bully we were expecting from a D.Va.
And that's just the Soul coordination. When your Winston lives, it's because everyone's on the same page. I never blame a Winston for dying first. It's usually everyone else's fault. At least that's what I say as a tank player. But Soul have control of the cart, and they can draw the fight towards them, especially as MN3 gets in position for the EMP. Fuel don't have a clear counter with the rally not up yet. Fuel hold the high ground. Mag zones them into position. EMP from MN3 only hits MCD. Nano to Bliss for the sustain. Holds on to the rally. First blood for Dallas Fuel as their EMP only strikes Mag, who holds the primal for the perfect moment. Halfway to point B as Soul sustain on.
Great pocketing from Bliss onto MCD. We saw a fully fledged dive with a Nano, Winston, EMP, and Zest all on top of MCD. And somehow, this boy manages to live. It beggars belief, but Zest is still here, accumulating this pressure, making sure the cart does not roll back and ensuring Dallas Fuel can't afford to lose another fight, or they will be losing control of B here on Blizzard World.
Good nade from MCD. You can't afford to lose Hanbin's mech. Now has the self-destruct, has a second chance at life. Primal Rage from Mag is getting burned down though, and Fixa doesn't pop rally. Not in range. Mag isolated himself into the right room. By the time supports got there, it was too little too late. And now there's no one to protect your backline, and Sparkle has found his way there. Pulse Bomb splashes onto Skewed, and Soul will just have to die for the cause.
MCD just need a touch of peel here. Someone does remain towards the back. I think it's MN3 just lurking around. And now Sol Infernal, they are in the death trap of Blizzard B. Which is where Skewed and Fixer need to spend resources and time getting up to high ground, while MCD and Bliss can set up here to begin with and be relatively safe. Remember, but Zest's mobility on the Tracer doesn't include much in the way of verticality. Has to take a long way round if they want to be a part of assassinating that backline of the Dallas Fuel. Uh-oh.
Listen, taking a break. Waiting for the translocate. Nothing happening from that. Soul, Rally, EMP, Nano coming up. Fuel have theirs already, but no EMP. Really, that initiation from MN3 is what Soul are depending on. Fuel have the high ground. Hanbin patrols. MCD playing so far back, wants to be out of range of that Sombra ultimate. MN3 unleashes it, doesn't hit MCD, holds the Nano for Bliss if he needs it, just like last time. Less than 2 meters to go for Soul as the rally pops from Fixa. 4 stuns, Bliss nanoed, pops the rally, helping Hanbin on the front lines, but barely holding on. Self-destruct though from Hanbin will zone off the card. He's allowed to get back into mech, and Soul don't have a main tank anymore, so they can't really continue this push.
I love how Dallas Fuel playing with kind of layer cake defense. Like you said, you had Bliss as for second line of defense and MCD all the way at the back. And the Nano onto the Brigitte is incredibly smart, because Brigitte after that drops the shield and gets anti, kind of baits out that anti from Skewed, knowing that they are going to be the primary target, but you don't drop your shield for that if you don't have the rally. Bliss knows that he can instantly get an extra 100 overhealth, which is not respective of the anti-heal, meaning that Soul Infernal cannot convert that anti into a kill, and more vulnerable players like Hanbin, who wouldn't be able to be cleansed, are saved from the effects of that utility. So overall, excellent bait and switch from Dallas Fuel. Uh-oh, hello, MN3's all the way in the back.
Yeah, he was translocate hunting for Edison there, and this has happened 2 times, nothing resulting, as Soul begin the cart push as we have a Sombra versus Tracer battle. MN3 safe, his translocate hidden too, I guess. 1 minute left for Soul, working up towards another EMP from MN3. Or Zest can hit a good pulse. It's off against the wall, and he fades into the shadows. Hanbin getting harassed from behind. Zest putting his focus into the tank. Hanbin getting healed by MCD at a distance. MN3 pulls the trigger on the EMP, hitting 2. As Dallas Fuel continue to anchor this card. Hanbin supported with the Nano. He just will never die. Soul are putting all their damage into this tank, and Hanbin anchors forever. 35 seconds as Soul activate the rally, looking for the stun onto Hanbin. It's successful, and now this backline is exposed, and Zest will not be stopped.
But still, Dallas Fuel fighting on the car. MCD going down means a lack of healing overall. Hanbin's going to be so close, though. A big stick gets rid of Bliss. Zest has decided that it all belongs to me, baby. I'm taking the crown. I'm taking the throne. A quick reset there. The stranded spawn system is going to allow Hanbin to get out with their mech and their life. And Dallas Fuel going to have to batten down the hatches for the long hold here on Sea Lemon. But they've got a couple of tools to try and play with here. The EMP is going to really punish Skewed and Fixer if they do stack up. But Mag's quick swap over here onto the Zarya is interesting. This allows for a much better response to the EMP via the bubbles.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we've seen Mag Zarya before, but on a flatter side of the map, this will be to, I guess, pocket himself and try to win the tank duel solely, and maybe throw a bubble Zest in MN3's way, but it's up to Mag to support himself as the independent girl boss that he is. Soul, EMP at the ready for MN3 in a few more seconds. Fuel getting pushed up against the wall above them. Hanbin drawing some attention. Zest on the high ground sends Hanbin back. Solar taking up a lot of space. Not even needing any ultimates until now. 3-man EMP. Bliss gone. MCD waits for the nano. It'll have to be Hanbin, but how do you deal with Mag? He dominates this front line. Edison won't have the real estate to go bow and arrow as Mag Nanos doesn't even need it. 25-second cap for the Soul Infernal.
Oh, Hanbin swapped over onto the Ramatra, wasting valuable seconds thinking, hey, if I'm going to get Nano tier in a brawl, that my best option is to bring out the Nemesis form with the Nano. Unfortunately, the time simply wasn't there. A proactive move from Mag with the Nano boost was simply huge from the Soul Infernal. And actually, one of the things that Soul Infernal are doing super well to continually get themselves the advantage in these points, Zest just wants to beat them to death, by the way. A melee specialist tracer, is that the EMP nade combos are so slick from this roster. We often see Bliss getting absolutely eviscerated, and that's one of the reasons why we saw Bliss try and bait out with the rally so many times, because realized that Soul Infernal were playing this EMP nade combo that could only really be countered by getting that 100 additional extra overhealth straight away that doesn't respect the anti-heal. But if you read that Bliss doesn't have the rally, then it's easy to get that EMP anti and just instantly dispatch the Brigitte.
Yeah, Fuel's biggest stop was at point B. They drew out a lot of time just playing so deep into their spawns and just nanoing Hanbin, nanoing Bliss, whatever it is to live, they did it. Infernal, they took the first point quickly. Point C, never saw a stop. Soul, cap with 25 seconds. This is beatable by the Fuel. And they'll bring out the Hanbin Diva again, and Mag's not even gonna roll out on the Zarya. You need to generate that ult charge. You know you need the dive for the point B high grounds, as Fuel will do some scouting initially.
Initial scouting, initial bullying. Sparkle, the conflux of 3 players, and the victim of all 3 as well. A quick sleep onto Mag, but there's no way for that actually to be followed up. And interestingly, Hanbin's actually exiting the first round with far less damage than Mag, about 20% less, and Mag should be taking a lot more damage from Hanbin, in my honest opinion. Hanbin's playing a lot more defensively on the Diva than we're used to, not doing too much to bully out the tank, and playing a lot more reactively to try and save instead of kill.
Yeah, Hanbin is just peeling for his team against the EMPs, against the dive, and just anchoring the cart when no one else from the Fuel really can. Sparkle's more focused on taking these Zest Tracer duels or dealing with MN3. So it's Hanbin versus Mag, who are just protecting their teams, taking space where they can. But you're right, Mag takes a lot more real estate, takes a lot more room. He jumps into the back. And it's Soul still holding the point, waiting and looking at both sides of the road before they cross it. Mag is hacked, taking a lot of damage. Bubble forced out. Now that this cooldown is gone, Fuel might have an opening as Soul feel unprotected. But almost an EMP from MN3, 40% quicker than Edison.
Alright, Hanbin here with the pocket, should be able to fight this for a while. There's the nano coming through. The EMP only catches 1 as far as I'm aware, maybe 2. And just cleans them both up.
Great EMP, and this was at the same time that the nano probably the nano popped a second earlier than the EMP, because I think if MCD, ooh, good pulse. MCD would have probably nanoed Bliss if he knew that was coming, but obviously didn't track that. 40% quicker than Edison. No one from Fuel saw an EMP coming that fight. As Fuel managed to come back through this thanks to the Sparkle damage. Starting that second tick, Soul re-engaged with the rally, but they're hit by an Edison EMP. Fixa falls over. Skewed holds the nano, despite Soul maybe committing to that retake with a rally, not wanting to invest more. Soul give it up.
And the thing that happens with the early rally right there, that I pointed out earlier, I gave Soul Infernal credit, I gotta give Dallas Fuel credit too. The EMP anti-combo onto a Brigitte, Fixa gets absolutely mulched by the Dallas Fuel frontline. Eviscerated in but a moment. That 700 HP shield is no good if you can't get it out, Lemon. And now Hanbin's just going to try and control the turret. This gives over critical information as well when Hanbin's peeking up there to allow for Sparkle to set up to mark Zest, who needs to try and get in onto MTD, who's been freecasting so much.
Yeah, Hanbin is spy checking, making sure no hacks from MN3 go off. So although his focus isn't onto Mag, it's denying the win conditions from Soul to deny that EMP generation from MN3. Hanbin is doing what he can to protect his little ducklings as they move the cart forward. Soul, another EMP ready from MN3 shortly. A lot of sustain with the Nano and the Primal as Sparkle goes to dislodge them off the high ground, but Mag engages right into them, setting up for the EMP, jumps away from the self-destructive Hanbin. Sparkle doesn't make a big enough splash.
No
The
way!
EMP from MN3 is canceled!
No way. There's the Nano coming through onto Mag. Skewed feels like this needs to be rescued, and indeed it does. Hanbin, no stagger here. Honestly, this kind of fell out of control for Dallas Fuel because Hanbin did not eat a very obvious nade. I don't know if he was hacked or something to try and shut that down, but the play around the anti-nades for both of these teams has been so good. MN3 wishing they could have that EMP back now gives over a considerable advantage to Edison to try and set this up once again. But we're entering into the same issue that Soul Infernal had on Blizzard B, which is creating a safe space for your supports to exist while threatening the other supports. And Hanbin, like we said, been playing more defensively. Wants to try and stay a little bit closer to this backline so that Mag can't bully them. And that means that Edison and Sparkle often have to go for Skewed and Fixer by themselves.
Dallas Fuel have the card in pretty deep. If this EMP is good, they can go all the way. But Edison gets slept. He's woken. He recalls. Soul don't drop a single member because it was only a one-man EMP. Only waited for MN3. Should have drawn Soul out into the open as Fuel's win condition has gone by. But next, and plan B, is MCD's Nano onto Hanbin. They've also given it to Sparkle, I believe, for the point draw. Zest heads in. Pulse bomb not ready. Recalls before he's stunned. Or before he dies, of course, as Fuel hold the cart and generate progress. Only 90 seconds left, waiting for MCD to make the call as Soul ready for the EMP. 4 hits! MCD Nano's Bliss isn't enough sustain. You lost the mech of your tank, but have you given up hope? Soul invests more ultimates, only 2. Nano thrown into the picture. Mag is slept.
Beautifully.
I got all excited.
It was a beautifully executed short leap bow from Mag. Beautiful Winston tech to ensure that that Diva was instantly executed, knowing that easy hits onto a tank were going to allow Hanbin to get that mech back, just knocking his head on the doorway, giving himself a little concussy so that Hanbin would be taken out in short order and saving the Primal crucially here, which is going to be very important for keeping this point contested. Hanbin, some early harassment from MN3 being pocketed through it means that you can try and play for even more ult charge and generate those EMPs faster. But when it comes to fast and furious EMP generation, Edison's got to be on your mind. 87%.
He got dove on and still lives. Dallas Fuel takes shelter from the storm and head to the high ground where Soul live on. Dallas Fuel deny an EMP from MN3. They slept a Nano Winston, but Fuel down to the wire. Last fight, or it's match point for Soul. It's EMP for Edison. Hits 2. Fixa. Immediate rally for Skewed. Mag holds the Primal. Sees Dallas Fuel in a small room, but wants to play his life. Fuel down to a few seconds. Sparkle with a critical pulse. Fuel needs to coordinate against Mag and burn him to the ground. Fuel hit by another EMP. Only the supports, but MCD Bliss are gone, and Hanbin will have to self-destruct. Sparkle is clutching up, though. He's killed 3 this fight. You only have a few more meters to go, and it's overtime. 3 versus 2 for the Dallas Fuel. Fixa is boostioed. I can't believe my eyes, but Soul have closer respawns. It's a sleep, it's a BM, and GG for game 2.
Hey, sometimes the only option is the best one. Fixa holds down the car, gets that Nano 50% damage reduction, 50% more damage, and 100% dead members of the Dallas Fuel. Coming out of this one, some quick insight into the stats. MN3, 9.2k damage per 10 on the Sombra. Edison on the other side, 6.4. And that's MN3 having to negotiate around the defense matrix as well. So Mag must be getting a huge amount of value out of these bubbles in order to mitigate the overall damage coming through from Edison, or maybe there's difference in focus here where M3 is going after the tanks a little bit more compared to Edison, who might be going for the supports more. But hey, 3,000 more damage per 10 minutes means a lot more EMPs, Lemon.
Yeah, Sparkle is having a huge impact. Edison is losing the Sombra battle, hitting a couple one-man, two-man EMPs, and not drawing a significant fight advantage for the Dallas Fuel, who are doing a great job of countering ultimates, whether it's the MN3 EMP cancel, Sleeping Mag when he got nanoed. But Soul have so many win conditions. You might stop one or two, but Soul have taken over this match. And Fuel, they defend well, like you said, but in terms of attacking, they kind of just live and don't do much attacking.
Yeah, Dallas Fuel, we used to know them as the team that always goes faster, 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 faster. But at the moment, the pace seems to have been allayed. Some speed bumps have been put in the ground, and the suspension simply is not taking the pressure. We're going to see if Dallas Fuel can try and recoup the legendary speed that they once had during this break.
When in doubt, Nano the Lucio. Wise words coming from the Soul Infernal on Twitter after winning Blizzard World with a 25-second cap and a point B stop against the Dallas Fuel.
It was a masterclass, honestly, in Winston play. Mag was getting so much value, and you know what? Skew decides, hey, if I can boost out here and clutch up, then I'm going to be a legend. And hey, the legend has begun its genesis here on Blizzard World. We are on preset maps, of course, so that might not have been where Dallas Fuel wanted to go overall. We got a quick Zest sign here, and you know what? It's a good day to be a Zest fan. Zest has been absolutely pounding on the Tracer. It feels like at the moment, Sparkle and Edison have not been able to find the same impact as their cohorts. We're seeing about 50 to 40% more damage per 10 out of MN3 in the Sombra versus Sombra. And that's with Edison also being able to swap over onto a Hanzo for a little bit as well, Lemon. We're going up against the Zarya thinking, hey, I'm going to be a bit more safe from the Winston dives. I can afford to go over onto the Hanzo. Shambali Monastery is an entirely different approach where maybe we'll see Hanbin bring out that Ramatra. Maybe we could even see a Sigma. We don't have as much competitive data for these teams on this map.
Yeah, I feel like MN3 avoided a lot of Hanzo. I was surprised he even went to it at some point, considering out the gates you expect a lot of double flanker dive from Dallas Fuel, and then MN3 still felt he was safe enough to go Hanzo. So that says a lot about the respect of Dallas Fuel's dive. But we go to Shambali. And I have a lot of respect for the Soul Infernal, who last time they went to Shambali was against the Soul Dynasty, where Mag played the Sigma or the Ramatra, depending on which side. But the hilarious part is MN3 Bastion attack. I want to see it!
I wish to see it. I want this to be a banger game. We're all here in the WDG Esports studio in Seoul. We got the home crowd for Soul Infernal. One sec. Are they fighting though, Lemon?
Let's go Fuel or let's go Infernals. We got fans in the crowd. That poor woman's vocal cords. I feel ya, bestie. Girly Pop, we need some water. But it'll be a quick match, though, if it goes Soul's way. Right out the gates with some dive, but reassessing.
All right, Mag swapping over here onto Ramatra is a great choice for trying to deal with Vidala Fuel if they want to play this close. Try and slow their disengage and play the cover that is provided. Sparkle's already dead. Oh, no.
Good initial Maywall from Zest. Dallas Fuel. You don't usually see a spawn hold at this point. The first corner is so strong for the defense. You got a high ground for your ranged DPS, and Soul swapped their Ramatra rush just like they did last time they were on Shambali, minus the MN3 on the Ashe. The better hero over the Bastion. I get it.
Dallas Fuel, though, they're going to make their own swap, and that's over to the Reaper. We didn't see this on Oasis for the control map, where Dallas Fuel were last exhibiting the Junker Queen rush, but this is going to allow them to have fairly equal frontline pressure onto Zest and Mag, and may force some disengages from Soul Inferno, where previously it's just been rushing forward.
This Maywall from Zest is messing up Fuel. This is a pretty narrow part of the map. Strong for May and Fuel. Separated from the flock. Han been isolated. Fuel really haven't killed much. Just haven't been able to coordinate in just these tight quarters as Soul head for point A.
That's enough, Reaper, says Sparkle. I'm going back to the Genji. I'm not sure if it's entirely the best choice. Trying to get onto MN3 obviously is going to be the play here for Dallas Fuel once again. But can you isolate this Ashe? And can you force out the coach gun prematurely, more importantly?
Yep, Matrix. Dallas Fuel pressured back, and the cap is there for Soul. Hanbin, maybe we'll swap to something else, but so close to the Rampage, that'll be their next win condition, or the Kitsune Rush. But do you really want to drop down? Probably not. There is no good escape point from that. They'll wait for Soul to get up this ramp. Kitsune Rush, but countered by the MN3 Bob. The Gatekeeper at the staircase, and Fuel, they dropped to the Bob. They tried to run past it and ignore it, but you can't ignore the Bob.
The Bob don't miss. And MN3 is absolutely pounding right now. 14k damage per 10, by the way. Edison scraping 2.1 at the moment. It's been a slow day for Edison. Been unable to find any target. Soul Infernal is just so hard to isolate a duel on, and that's exactly what the Sombra wants, to find the weakest of the wildebeest in the herd. But Soul Infernal are showing no weakness that can be exploited by Dallas Fuel. This needs to be a huge rampage, but it can easily be countered by Fixer Sound Barrier.
Fuel need a stop here. This would be big for their defense. It's a defensive heavy part, but annihilation from Mag. Soul pull the trigger. Bliss sound barriers, but it's too little too late. Both your DPS ultimates, both your win conditions subtracted from the equation. And the result I'm seeing with this telescope is a fat L. Fuel have not had a single stop yet.
Lemon, wake me up when Dallas will get into the lobby.
Alright, I'll wake you up in 30.
Oh no! Oh no! This is well, credit to Soul Infernal. They are not making any mistakes that Dallas Fuel can exploit right now. They're not feeling any pressure, and they're not making any unforced errors as well. EMP ready to go from Edison. This could really be what turns this around. It's on 2.
Well, screw MN3 in particular. That was just aimed for him. Zez caught 2. Able to ice block and wall himself away back to the hallway. Soul, what is this? I mean, you got the stats. I don't even want to know, actually, how many deaths Soul have. Their initiative is so much quicker. Yeah, okay, there it is. Their first death, y'all. Soul, they continue on around the corner, though. Sparkle up the wall, waits to dash through with his blade. Soul trying to place the slow right near him. Sparkle goes back to safety. 80 HP, just not getting anything done. Tries to draw out both the barrier and the blizzard, so maybe that ends up being valuable for Sparkle.
Unbin as well, finally swapping over onto Ramatra. Double damage dynamite coming through. That's really stressing the healers, and it stressed them too far. Hanbin breaks under the strain as Bliss is in the backline just doing Lucio things. Edison's gone to join him.
Well, that's a little goofy. Edison has killed 2, I guess. Respawn advantage for Fuel, as that might be enough to slow down Soul. They head to the finish line. A Bob Annihilation is what's on the menu, as MN3 can also throw this on the card to create space and also get pressure on the objective. But Soul want to wait for everyone to get back first.
This is an incredibly difficult area to attack. There's definitely a reality where Dallas Fuel can hold this for 3+ minutes. The Dragon Strike ready to go. That could force out an early Immortality Field here, and if the Immortality Field is used, that means that Hanbin can get so much more aggressive with a Nemesis form and Annihilation.
Bob. Is he in the Dragon? He's in the Dragon. He's still shooting, though. He's got a lot of health, and so does Mag with the Annihilation blocking away. But Sound Bear is so much sustained from the defense. They wait for Zest. Out of position behind the cart. Soul just don't have a good win condition without Zest. Mag doesn't have as much protection. And even through the 2 kills from Bob, Soul will have to do a lot more work, especially with the defensive respawns of the Fuel.
Yeah, good management of the Bob aggro as well from Dallas Fuel, even with the efficacy that it got. Hanbin managed to actually tank a huge amount of that using the block of the Nemesis form and the shield, just rotating those around while in the Monk form, in order to make sure that MN3 mostly had the Bob concentrating on the tank and less so on those squishies. Edison's got themselves a shooting gallery here, and of course, sometimes a fight can just be ended prematurely by a well-placed arrow. Edison's rolling those dice.
Ooh, Ant Matrix from MCD right down the lane, blocked by the Zest of Maywall, so Soul will wait that out. Even getting close to a lucky headshot there for Zest. Won't be the first blood yet. As around the corner, Hanbin overextends, pops the Annihilation, is in the backline. Kills Skewed of all people. Zest throws the Blizzard to stop the follow-up, and only Hanbin is caught, and he can't be sped out. So 1-1 trade, I believe. Actually, Soul have lost 2, so they will wait.
This is what we wanted to see from Dallas Fuel to try and turn this series around. A little bit of proactivity, a little bit of run towards the Soul Infernal, and don't let Soul Infernal just go demon mode all over you. That's a Blizzard that's now not going to be available for point control, Lemon, and that cart control is so important as you try and finish off Shambali Monastery. Obviously, a lot of damage has already been done in terms of distance gained. Sparkle forced to cower for a moment.
Oh, Blizzard! And the Maywall behind is Skewed. Stay safe. Fixes unsure. Pops the sound barrier. As Soul, first and second blood, now hunting down Edison, who's just jumping in the middle of the fight instead of maybe trying to get back, but maybe thinking they can't stay safe. They stagger on the cart. 46 seconds for Soul.
Rolling out now. Dragon Strike will give a little bit of covering fire. It's going to give some obfuscation as well to allow Hanbin to move in somewhat unseen. Mag spamming away the pummels of the Nano V Annihilation too.
Oh, Annihilation, Hanbin. He's sustained by the sound barrier. Mag finished off. MN3's Bob will make up for his place. Soul 23 seconds. Only experienced their first deaths in point C. And MN3's in prime position for hunting season. That will be a full capture on Shambali for the Soul Infernal on match point.
a much better Bob from MN3 coming out mid-fight, which I think is the key to getting some bigger value out of these Bobs, which is to make sure that Dallas Fuel can't do their pre-fight adjustments with Bob's location being a known factor. It coming out in the middle, so much more. MN3 deserving of the highlight reel, to be honest. It's been a big game from MN3. 9.7k damage done already. The next highest in the lobby is Hanbin, or rather it's Mag with 6.6. So MN3, no damage boost required, just the Ash aim, and this is the character that MN3 claimed on that legendary new Queen Street against Seoul Dynasty. The character that had him plant his flag in the Overwatch League and say, I have arrived. And Seoul Infernal, when they were rebuilding their team, they kept that belief in MN3 and Zest, thinking this is the duo that can do it for us. Thus far, that belief is paying dividends.
I really like Dallas Fuel's way that they counter or move around the Seoul Infernal ultimates. Whether it's the Blizzard, only Hanbin got frozen, the MN3 Bob, he got 2 kills, but Fuel... I mean, Fuel did lose to that Bob on point B. They kind of got rolled point A, point B. We don't talk about that, though. Fixa countering Fuel with barriers, too. Just took a while for Soul to get through point C, but a cap is difficult on this map, and it's a spawn hold by Soul. Zest kind of foils their plan as Fuel approached the left side, trying to break the shield. Successful in doing so. Sonic will give some good information, and it's the headshot you found, the headshot you wanted. 5 to 3, Edison has found the hero he can shine on.
You know what? It's a much more civilized weapon, the bow and arrow, Lemon. We don't need those hackers here. We'll just do it old style. Edison carving through the Seoul Infernal and already halfway to a Dragon Strike. Seoul Infernal, though, they did manage to take away 30 seconds via the spawn hold, which is so important when you're going to be playing a time game towards the end here. You just want to try and make sure you drain as much time as possible before third point, which is so heavily defensible.
Yes, Soul. That'll be their first fight loss. Off this spawn hold, that's difficult to do, but you do that to force as many fights as you can to draw time away. As Fuel now getting just shot at from different angles. MN3 says, kill me first, as he jumps into the Dallas Fuel. And Fuel, I mean, with this rush, they hit the left hook, the right hook, and good night. Fuel, back-to-back fights.
Truly MN3 volunteering as tribute for that one. But swap over to the Sojourn. Incredibly interesting here. You can obviously build up your railgun very easily against the Ramatra when he's blocking. You can build up the rail to be used on less defended members, and the shield uptime of the Ramatra is also a little bit lower than you'd see against a classic Reinhardt rush. MN3, if he can connect those headshots, could find some significant openings, especially keeping Edison well behind cover.
Third fight for point A. Zest throws the Blizzard down. Great speed call by Blizz. Dragon right through the lane. And Soul barely get out with their lives, and the Hanbin annihilation on top. 3K versus 2K. Who's the bigger man? Fuel head towards point A, and Soul ain't got that dog in him. Fuel continue.
Good split there from Fuel as well. Sending all their squishies backwards, getting Mag on a wild goose chase, making sure that Hanbin could find some easy 1v1s with the annihilation onto the more squishy members of Seoul Infernal, and then control the cart, taking it out from underneath Mag's nose, even with a huge investment from the Seoul Infernal in that fight, which means that their ability to control this cave phase is going to be limited. I wouldn't mind seeing Sparkle use the Blizzard in the next fight early, simply just try and take out Mag and gain control of this area.
How about MN3 shoots you in the face? We'll try the Blizzard anyway. 4v5, Fuel throw it down. No one frozen from Soul. They all hold on. Immortality. Soundbeer ready from Fixa. Goes around the wall. You won't protect yourself any longer, Sparkle. As Fuel get pounded into the dirt. Great shots by MN3. 2 in a row. Oh, 1v1 versus Edison. No! Mag, get out of the picture. I want to see this. Oh, Edison retreats.
MN3 playing a little bit of ego here on Hanzo is super important in these kind of pseudo-sniper versus pseudo-sniper battles. It's all about the mojo, all about feeling that confidence, and well-placed Dragon Strike here could be deadly. But,
kind of wasted.
they were very close to their immortality. Hanbin is isolated, but I don't think it's going to be pressured here. Dallas Fuel, they're kind of just getting toyed with a little bit at the moment. Soul Inferno not giving them any respect, but that's what you need to do. Make sure that you can drain every single second.
Oh, well, they have Matrix. MCD's punished for that. Try to go in a forward position to get the best angle possible. Fuel doing everything they can to break out of spawn. Hanbin getting knocked out cold. As Soul also just played this far forward because they have a speed disengage, and they've been so good at it. They lose one or two members along the way, so now making the call that the spawn hold is inviable, they'll play the range duel instead.
Yeah, I didn't think that I'd see the day when Dallas Fuel in a rush mirror were going to seem to not have the same clarity of vision as their opponents. Soul Infernal, they are following the plan to a T right here. Disengage is fairly clean. Dallas Fuel really needs to force them to make mistakes, and Edison can be the one to do that by moving in.
Annihilation. Mag, good initiation. Hanbin says, bring it on. Pops his own. Immortality only saves Soul. Sound Barrier available and exchanged by Bliss as well. Fuel just hit with too much damage. At the end, Soul thrive, and it's less than 2 minutes for the Fuel.
This is such a difficult area to attack. I wouldn't mind seeing Dallas Fuel even play around the outside here, just so that the window up into the monasteric level of point C could be less well exploited by the Soul Infernal. Keeping MN3 on that angle is consistently keeping Edison's attention over there as well. For now, Soul Infernal don't give away any preliminary positions except for some weak poke from the turn here. And this
Dragon! They tried to catch him off guard. MN3 threw the Sonic down and tried to split up Fuel, but you didn't see a forward engagement from Soul and Blizzard drone! Did it get canceled? I don't see one on the floor! Zest goofed up! Dallas Fuel counter with their own, and they're just better! Of course, with the frozen targets, it's easy pickings for Fuel. There's less than a minute to go. They got one more fight for point B.
Now, the disadvantage of getting everyone hiding in that cave due to the dragon was that everyone could also aim out of there solely onto Zest. Had Zest been hit by a few less shots, yes, it would have been an absolutely tumultuous blizzard that would destroy the Dallas Fuel. Now one fight likely remains.
Sparkle is isolated by the wall. Dallas Fuel have to back him up. They use the Amp Matrix and Hanbin's block as Soul. Okay, their MN3 is behind. They managed to climb over the wall. Can he hit a shot, though? That's a different question. Edison will give him a lesson. 2 first picks by Fuel before MN3 wakes up. But is the damage done already? The cap there for Fuel with 10 seconds left. They barely got any time, though. 90 seconds to push multiple fights of C.
Multiple fights, indeed. Economy is the name of the game here for Dallas Fuel. They need to be able to win these fights economically. Big spends cannot be tolerated because Soul Inferno will punish it when the spawn advantage is in their favor. And here on Shambali Monastery, that spawn advantage is brutal at the end of point C.
Dragon Strike from MN3, forcing back Fuel, not getting the isolation they wanted. Edison counters, catches a headshot into MN3. Edison now dipping in the Hanzo battle. Somber was a different story on Blizzard World. Hanbin wanting to rewrite this one. Annihilation. Great Maywall from Zest to protect himself. Hanbin gets around. Zest didn't run fast enough, though. Annihilation from Mag. Fix has to make a call on this barrier. Decides to hold it for the final fight, and I'll agree with that.
2 sound barriers held. MN3 on the Widowmaker. Now it would be a legendary turnaround. A Fletter-style headshot after headshot, potentially, but Hanbin's already noted the position. Surely no one overpeaks into MN3 here and offers up the headshot that so deliciously presents itself to the Soul Infernal.
Oh, ice block out from Sparkle, looking for the early Blizzard. 22 seconds. Sparkle pulls the trigger, so does Zest. No one can be around this cart, and that hurts the Fuel. 2 frozen. Bliss, the barrier doesn't work out. And Fuel are hurting bad, and MN3 will give him a band-aid. Sparkle can't wall himself off, and Fuel against the Soul Infernal will only get 1 map win in 3 matches, and not 1 against the Infernal.
We wondered if perhaps Soul Infernal might have been slightly overhyped after decimating the Shanghai Dragons, because, hey, it was only Shanghai at the time, but here against Dallas Fuel, the clarity of vision is crystal clear. The disengages are strong, the movements are precise, and the plan is being both well constructed and well followed. For a team that has been together nowhere near as long as the core of the Dallas Fuel, which is all about the DPS and the tanks being able to work together, Soul Infernal are looking so much more clean.
MCD and somebody just hugged. I would need a hug too after that match. Dallas Fuel 0-3, 1-6 in map count, sitting in 5th seed out of 6 teams, right above Shanghai Dragons, who haven't won a map yet. Dallas Fuel, it was a lack of initiative, it was a lack of attacking. Defensively, they look superb, but Soul putting on a masterclass of counters, swapping to Reinhardt on Oasis, showing them how it's done with the mag dive on Blizzard World, to the Ramatra duel that seemed a lot closer on Shambali, but nonetheless a 3-0 for the Infernal, who will probably climb up to either 3rd or 4th seed. We'll see how that tallies up, but a big win for Soul.
Yeah, meanwhile on the Dallas Fuel side, 0-3. It's looking real dire. Dallas Fuel versus Shanghai Dragons certainly going to be an interesting matchup, and Soul Infernal, for a newer franchise, a rebrand from the Philadelphia Fusion, it means so much to win in front of their home crowd here. Last time we went up against the Soul Dynasty in the Soul Bowl, they weren't able to win. Here's our player of the match, is going to be Skewed. Seemingly invulnerable at moments, Lemon. Incorporeal on the back line, but absolutely a huge difference maker, especially on Oasis. Being able to survive so long on the Baptiste meant that Hanbin's Junker Queen could not get any purchase.
And when Mag doesn't die, there's 2 people you can thank. It's Skewed and Fixa. And Skewed did a lot on the Ana to nano him, even moments nanoing DPS, but mostly Mag. And hitting some fun little sleeps too. Even maybe a Boostio, I guess we'll give him a trophy for that too, but I'm down. If a Boostio wins the match, boost me all the way. Skewed player of the match, played fantastic.
A win is a win, Lemon, and Skewed is coming out from under the shadow of Skewed, which is super important for this player. Skewed was always a flex support player, but really did have to settle into that Brigitte role for so long, with Shu just being obviously a Legends tier flex support who is critical to the overall plans of the LA Gladiators. Check out the timing on this nade as well. We highlighted this so often on Blizzard World because it simply needs to be pointed out how well Skewed and MN3 coordinated with each other in terms of timing to make sure the mitigation conditions for the nade were 0.
The nano, again, helping Mag out in many situations. Being able to dodge Edison too a lot of those times. Skewed offensive nades, but also well-timed defensive nades. In this moment, is he? Oh, he actually sleeps Edison. Just all that trickle damage woke him up. So sleeps were deadly by Skewed as well. We go over to Shambali for the Immortalities. This fight in particular, this is what saved the Soul Infernal on that point B push.
Yeah, great accuracy, long range with the BAF as well. Just multitasking with the best of them. That's so important. Having that mental bandwidth, and it seems like taking a big part in that fight planning as well. I believe there's an interview going on, of course, in the studio, but I don't speak Korean, so unfortunately I can't live translate that.
Yeah, so that'll give the win to Soul, who will go 2-1, and we'll figure out how far up that jumps them up. But a 3-0 win at that will help their map differential. Remember that seeding is so important in the qualifiers because the top-seeded OWL teams will get a bye in the first round. Of course, the knockout rules will be released soon, so you guys can know, of course, who's facing who and whatnot. But the Dallas Fuel, I mean, kind of a funny tweet coming out from Soul on Twitter of "Welcome to Korea, Dallas Fuel," and posting the match results. Kind of mean, but it is weird to see Dallas Fuel not in their prime, and maybe that's because, I mean, Hanbin has to pick up the Fearless mantle, playing both main tank and off tank.
Yeah, Fearless has always been a huge part of the former Element Mystic roster as like a huge engagement leader, Hanbin, we know, is a smart player who's played a bunch of different roles. As I pointed out earlier, during GOATs, Hanbin was actually their Brig player, while before that, obviously, was playing a lot more of the off-tank. And while we do expect huge things out of Hanbin, he was my particular MVP candidate last year after that performance during the GOATs meta. It does feel like Chio and Fielder, they left a huge hole behind. They were so important to the overall efficacy of this, like Chio being an absolute monster on the Lucio gave so much credence to Hanbin just being able to in and get out alive. Fielder so consistent as a healer. We've seen the dividends that have been paid as well over to the Atlanta Reign, and that means that Rush has got so much on his plate to try and bring MN3 and Bliss, or rather MCD, pardon me, and Bliss up to that level. But on the other side, Mag, kind of the opposite of Fearless. A main tank player, yes, but when it comes to results in the Overwatch League, uninspiring thus far. This year, this is where it turns around for Mag. He came into this league, Lemon, off of the back of a dominant runaway. A runaway that we all look to as being the talent farm. That was O2 Blast, Element Mystic, Runaway. This is where all the big players came from. This is where the big bucks were spent when we had the buyout fights. We were like, who's going to buy Sparkle? Who's willing to put up the money to make this happen? The same thing happened for Mag. And he got onto Washington Justice on a team that should have decimated with Fury as his off-tank. And that roster, it flopped. Was it the back line, the back room? Was it the back line? Was it other extraneous factors? We don't know. But Mag just did not perform up to the potential that we knew that he had and that we believed that he could live up to. Here on Soul Infernal, though, Mag seems to have a support structure that he needs, and he's expanded his hero pool to the point where Mag could be the carry tank.
Absolutely, and it's feeling like Zest and MN3 can coordinate a lot better than Mag in comparison to Belosaria. Obviously, Soul Infernal right out the gates looks stronger than the Philadelphia Fusion version, but obviously more to this roster than before. As Dallas Fuel, a similar roster, but not one that's winning, at least on the Eastern region. But this is just the start of the season. It's only the first 3 matches, so Dallas Fuel fans, hold on to your merch. Don't burn it yet. There's still more fuel in the tank for the upcoming matches. It's going to be a long season. Up next, we have more matches around the corner. What do we have on the menu? The Seoul Dynasty versus the Guangzhou Charge, third seed versus second seed. Both have only played 1 match and are undefeated. We're going to throw it to a break. When we get back, we'll have that match ready. Welcome back, everyone, to the Overwatch League Spring Stage Qualifier. Our last, but certainly not least, final match of the day, the Seoul Dynasty versus the Guangzhou Charge. Both teams undefeated. Seoul sitting at third, Guangzhou in second. It's the battle for top three.
Yeah, both of these teams are looking very good coming into our Spring Stage Qualifiers, and I think that this is actually anybody's game. While there have been maybe some doubts about Guangzhou Charge making less changes than many teams during the off-season, what they do appear to have done is just tightened up the nuts. They've battened down the hatches, and things are looking a lot cleaner for this team. Piggy has definitely come in as a huge influence on the overall aggressiveness and tempo of this team, and Piggy, I think, has been popping off quite recently. We've always known that Choice A1 had the talent to be, like, the guy for Guangzhou Charge, but it never really translated into consistent victories. Choice A1 sometimes just, like, grabbed a map out of nowhere, like, oh, Guangzhou Charge can do it! Like, they're not gonna do it. However, I think that Farway as well, I'm just gonna gush about the Guangzhou Charge roster because I think that they are outstripping expectations. Farway's been exceeding them as well. On the other side, Seoul Dynasty, definitely a team that's had a lot more changes, with Profit leaving and then rejoining, and of course being joined by their twin, PH, as well.
Yeah, and just to jump in about the first roster here, Guangzhou have retained 4 of the 5 players from last year. Xerneas, Jimmy, Choice A1, Farway. Piggy, who I didn't feel like got much time in the spotlight over Dante. And how could you? I mean, Dante is one of the best tanks in the league, and Piggy is going to be proving that, well, he can hold his own as the only tank on this roster. And Guangzhou Charge, interestingly, is half Chinese, half Korean roster, so wondering how communication breaks down there. But the oh, and by the way, Guangzhou Charge, their only match win was against the Dallas Fuel, who are sitting in almost last place. So, you know, with that only match win, where are the power levels for the Guangzhou Charge?
What I can say is that I think Guangzhou Charge won that game rather than Dallas Fuel losing it. But still, like, we don't think Dallas Fuel are the strongest team right now. Here's our match preview. It's the overcharged, fully charged Guangzhou is ready to get over the Tigers. Everyone knows that Tigers are actually quite weak to electricity. Don't ask how anybody found that out. It's quite unethical. And the Tigers themselves, we've got the Profit PH duo here, and Profit, obviously, many people regard him as the GOAT. He was on the first team ever to win the Overwatch League and won the Spitfire back in 2018, and honestly, one of the most zeitgeist-defining players in the pre-Overwatch League era as well, with GC Busan, Gesture, and Profit playing Tracer Winston, really redefined what it was to have a synchronized dive, which led them to so many victories over teams that some people might have said had, at the time, a lot more roster value than them. Teams like Lunatic High and LW that eventually became the New York Excelsior, and the Seoul Dynasty, the original interpretation as well. And we've got Void returning from retirement as well, who I think is going to be a big secret source for this team. Void, of course, is a maestro of many tanks, but classically more of an off-tank player, excellent on both the Sigma and on the Diva.
Velos Rhea on this roster, cut from the Philadelphia Fusion and became the Seoul Infernal, but Seoul Dynasty got the last laugh at the end, beating the Seoul Infernal in a Game 5. That was their only match win. But a difference in wins when Seoul beat one of the best teams and Guangzhou being one of the worst teams. But coming out the gates, we have the Seoul Dynasty sitting in 3rd place. After a Game 5 differential, of course, that's what puts them there. This is a battle for the top 3. Here's your starting roster. Profit, PH, Velos from the Fuel, and a big pickup from SPG, Lee Soo Min, as their flex support player.
Yeah, Lee Soo Min, a lot more time in contenders. Krillin, of course, has been touring around a couple of teams after being discovered initially by the London Spitfire from the depths of, like, open division in Korea. Was a true rookie, almost like Jonak, coming out of very low tier competition to be picked up by the ill-fated 2020 roster of the London Spitfire. Belos Rio, as you said, returning from the Philadelphia Fusion, now the Soul Infernal, coming in obviously to play more of a main tank role here for Control, where you're expecting to see a little bit more of the Winston, maybe even some Wrecking Ball, which is what Belos Rio is best known for. His Wrecking Ball has essentially won series in mid-season madness for Philadelphia Fusion last year, and can do the same thing for Seoul Dynasty as well.
So unfortunately, Hammond has fallen out of the meta. It's with the presence of Ana and of course the Sombra. There's just so many counters out. Prophet making sure he looks cute on camera, fixing the hair. Girl, same. Because Belos Rio got the bangs out. That's what I look like when I don't get mine cut after a while. Dynasty feeling good, looking good, up against the Guangzhou Charge, which I'm having a hard time really assessing the power levels right out the gate. You said Guangzhou Charge played so well. Pushed Dallas Fuel up against the wall. Like, that was a disgusting 3-0. But Seoul Dynasty played a better team. So our Seoul Dynasty, the better team here.
Yeah, and Prophet still having it when it comes to the overall power level. The Choice A1 jersey versus the PH jersey. A rivalry. Not a rivalry that I think is going to come to massive fruition in this particular matchup. Choice A1 is definitely going to be spending more time mano a mano with Prophet in this particular matchup. Instead, Jimmy's going to be going up against PH themselves. PH, of course, coming in to play more hit scans, covering a couple of Prophet's weaker heroes, like the Widowmaker, like the Ashe. Prophet has been able, over the course of many years, to expand his hero pool into those hit scans, but I wouldn't say that he's like world-class like his Tracer is, where he could indisputably be in the top 2, top 3.
The Guangzhou Charge, here's your starting roster. Jimmy, as you mentioned, I think the clear carry on this team, MVP, player of the match of their previous series against the Fuel, Hitscan Warlord, and he remains on the roster from last year. And you're gonna hear us talk a lot about Jimmy during this. I think the biggest question mark for me is how Piggy is going to do. I remember when he did sub in for the Houston Outlaws on the North American side of things, you know, you had some goofy Roadhog, some Sigma, held his own, would win a map, then leave and drop the mic. So we'll see if he can continue dropping other teams, starting off against the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, Xerneas, of course, some of you may recognize, formerly known as Evil Tar, going from one Pocket Monster Beast name to another, a little bit of evolution. Previously, Xerneas was known for their Mercy, playing the Pocket Mercy for Jinmu on the ill-fated Chengdu Hunters, but since then, despite being a world-class Mercy, Xerneas has proven that he is equally dangerous on other main supports, including the Brigitte, which I think currently is Xerneas' best. The Lucio also super serviceable, but for me, the excitement when it comes to the support line is in the Farway Ana. When it comes to just neutral positioning, I think Farway has some of the best Ana positioning, has some disgusting angles that would make Jaws swear if he saw them, in order to pump out maximum healing while having maximum safety.
That looks like me without bangs, eyebrows and everything. I'm a mean looking person. I don't know who they drew that. I don't think they know who I am, but from the comps, the 3 maps that Guangzhou played, it was a lot of dive on a Brig, Jimmy a ton of Hanzo on Hollywood and Nepal, Choice in one on the dive heroes, Tracer and Genji. On the other side of things, we got a lot more maps to look at when it comes to the Seoul Dynasty, including the matchup of Prophet versus Choice in one on the Tracer. Prophet primarily playing that Tracer with Belos Ria's Winston. Not a ton of Hammond from Belos Ria, unless it was maybe a Blizzard World, but like we said, against the Ana and the Sombra, it's a tough one for Belos Ria to pull off. PH likes to flex between so many different, we saw so many heroes from this guy. Ashe, Sombra, Hanzo, Symmetra, Widow, Sojourn, you name it, PH played it.
Prophet here with our Tracer graphic. Some nice deaths, but unfortunately Choice Air 1's lack of deaths is even nicer at 2.4 per 10. And we're going to be able to see plenty of those Tracers, I imagine, here on Lijiang Tower. This is actually one of the maps where Belos Ria really carved his name into the Dwarven runic legend of Overwatch. His Wrecking Ball on Lijiang Tower, I think we managed to cast that match in Mid-Season Madness, was absolutely brutal. I think it might have been against the Hangzhou Spark. I can't remember the exact match. I do remember Belos Ria, though, dominating
yeah.
on the
Game
ball
5.
on Night Market and managing to save that series for the Philadelphia Fusion, looking to do the same thing here for the Seoul Dynasty. And for Belos Ria, whose career looked somewhat perilous after Fusion dropped him and he went down to Contenders instead, it's got to be a great rebound. Absolutely invigorating. To go from being dropped from Philly and going to Contenders to representing Seoul. Seoul Dynasty, and I suppose now Seoul Infernal to a slightly lesser degree, have a huge amount of pedigree and prestige by representing the capital of South Korea, which is definitely the capital of top-tier Overwatch gaming at the moment. And there's a huge amount of pride in being able to be the player that represents that.
Well, let's talk about this map. First, we got the cheers. Seoul versus Guangzhou. Out the gates, Junker Queen Rush from the Seoul Dynasty. Keep an eye on the Symmetra turret. Okay, I wasn't sure if they were going to want to go right to the point. They kind of hovered over different types of Rush. Now the Reinhardt May, and they still managed to TP on time. And this is going to be a tough stronghold to break for the Charge.
It's going to be a real tough stronghold. But for Seoul Dynasty here, discipline is the name of the game. You don't overpeak Jimmy. You don't allow yourself to be caught out by something like an anti-nade. But aggressive play using the TPs to get onto the far way is exactly the kind of proactivity they need.
I'm surprised that Seoul wanted to take the initiative there. It's obviously safer. Well, you got the taxi back. It's obviously safer to just play within the point, play off a contact of your turrets, and find the May isolation wall from Prophet. Gotta be careful of how your supports are exposed when you push up against a Genji of Choice one, but Seoul get the cap first.
Yeah, clarity of vision here from Seoul. Following the plan and doing it with good execution is incredibly important. Prophet being a newer player on this team, on this Symmetra, it's good to see that the calls of the TPs are being trusted this much. A lot of faith in Seoul Dynasty's newest acquisition.
And they even got the spray on the point, so you know Seoul Dynasty are owning. Guangzhou Charge, just looking for any arrows to find a headshot, maybe onto PH or Prophet. As Belos Ria cycles his shield well. As soon as it's broken, they teleport onto the backline of Charge. Farway is removed. They use the photon barrier to re-engage into the point. And this increasing scaling damage of Symmetra is too much for the Charge to handle. Symmetra, one of the most vulnerable DPS you can play due to the lack of mobility, has to be a primary target of the Charge.
The timings being played here by Seoul Dynasty, as you pointed out, was about letting the shield break and then using what Guangzhou Charge thought was an opening to actually turn it around onto them, pulling the classic call an ambulance, but not for me. As Belos Ria, I don't need a shield to TP on top of this Ana. Oh yeah,
Prophet's waiting for the isolation wall. Okay, well,
yeah,
no one has seen him. Choice A1 and Piggy just walked past him. Prophet's like, okay, well, these are not the people I want to lock into a small room with me. Blade at the ready for Choice A1. Rally from Xerneas. Far away with the nano on the Choice A1, but the blizzard from Prophet locks it down. Choice A1 somehow lives as Guangzhou Charge depend on this Blade to produce a win after Seoul Dynasty drained of their ultimates and down 2. It's a 5 versus 3 for the Charge, looking for the flip at 95% for the Dynasty. It works out Charge's way with the cleanup.
Say Choice A1 somehow survives. I'm going to clear up the somehow surviving. It all came down to Xerneas. They're actually interrupting the charge coming through from Belos Ria. Admittedly, Krillin did a little bit of peeling for Choice A1 as well by booping him both out of the blizzard and out of the charge. But Xerneas was on point and ready to intercept that to keep his prince safe. Ooh. That was disgusting.
Okay, 5 for 4. Charge continue to hold the choke. Prophet not able to break through. Belos Ria maybe rethinking this strategy, or maybe not. You wouldn't want to change for the... Got the shatter in mind. Seoul Dynasty to the left side. Speed called by Krillin. Careful of the arrows from Jimmy. Dragon Strike thrown right in the middle. Speed passed. Seoul Dynasty 2 antied. And really unaffected at this moment, as now the Charge find a moment to dive on. They catch PH. As Seoul Dynasty continues to take shelter and look for a target to engage on, as Prophet will do the scouting, but Dynasty don't have a target.
Oh, it was Jimmy time right there. Getting a pick onto the caster, removing the main source of damage. And Belos Ria can't find an opening to use this Earth Shudder at the moment. Wants to try and force the barrier out of Piggy first, but they're just being so well harried by the Guangzhou Charge with its long-range utility.
Oh, Piggy, oh, the nade! As Piggy jumped away, PH gets the last lap without that tank. Yeah, Nano Choice one doesn't have the blade, but that'll get him an assassination to mortality from Lee Soo-min. Saves his life when Choice one was looking for the final blow. Shatter from Belosaria. 2 on the ground and 3 dead for the charge as the Dynasty regain control. And there, the pretty limp blade. Not Deadeye, it's a zoning tool. And actually, PH gets beat to death. And so do the rest of the charge, but the blade worked out for Choice one despite popping it at such low health. And managed to save the fight, but no one was on the point. Jimmy!
Jimmy, unfortunately, not enough blinks to return in time, and Guangzhou Charge there, I think, were a victim of tactical intractability. They were not able to adapt in time. They wanted to play the Nano Blade so hard that they let Piggy die for no reason. Farway definitely should have put the Nano onto Piggy to keep him alive and keep Seoul Dynasty at bay. The fact he dies after he's disengaged to a sticky nade is a little bit of a problem for Guangzhou Charge. I wouldn't say that it's an endemic problem that's going to leave me consistently questioning this team. But if Guangzhou Charge continue to, like, allow Piggy to die because they want to play the Nano Genji when Genji doesn't even have a blade, that could crystallize into a long-term problem for this team.
Prophet also questioning how Dynasty even won that last round when I believe everyone was dead. But it's another Reinhardt brawl. We don't usually get to see the soldier. PH cooking up something nice with those sneakers. Seoul Dynasty, you always put the spray down. They won it last time they did that. To 99%, Charge almost had a comeback. But they're stuck at the bridge. They'll have to make some room for Jimmy. As now without the symmetric teleporter from Seoul, they can't just jump into the back line of the charge like they did on Night Market. Seoul will be capping first and playing off the wall contact. Choice one peeks at the door, headshot onto Choice one, I think, or Jimmy, I think that was, but Jimmy hits the better one onto PH as it's 5-4 for the charge.
There's a reason that's Custer's best man. A well-placed sleep. The anti-2. Belos is getting absolutely cyberbullied right now, Lemon.
Jimmy is in charge. Speaking of the charge, they're still fighting back. Oh, PH. Oh, the Reinhardt. Jimmy is a pain sandwich, and it don't taste good. Belosaria, though, is an anchor for this point and for the Dynasty who don't have main heals with Lee Soo-min gone. But you can just play off of your shield. PH got his own heals. Belosaria gonna profit from that as Charge will flip the point.
Oh my goodness, what an anti there from Farway as well. Doom's Bellows, Rhea, Piggy's making sure that no one can disengage. Prophet's going to be a touch of a hostage here. And finally we get ourselves a better disengage where Piggy gets the love and respect that he deserves. This is a very early window, but it does claim the space on the bridge. That's a beautiful answer. Choice A1 was out very far.
Kind of hate that Amp Matrix more and more. With a Reinhardt comp, you can hold the space and definitely have a better angle on that. Easy disengage for the charge. And Piggy assuring that with the Primal Rage. Seoul Dynasty trying to get the point flip. Primal from Piggy. He's 2 HP trying to deny it. The Blizzard from Prophet is brought out. To exchange your Winston's life for a Blizzard ultimate is big for the charge.
Yeah, especially considering that Guangzhou Charge were definitely going to be losing that point anyway. Jimmy can't convert into a kill on the off angle. Guangzhou Charge just need to get a reset here. Choice one likely waiting for the dash, and then's going to get out of there. They give over for Nano.
Okay. This is an overreaction a little bit. Charge had the point, had Seoul Dynasty staggered out, even forced out the Blizzard, getting a little eager, but Charge will chase down the point lead.
Hey, trust in the carry, I guess. Oh, Choice A1. Not quite the wall climb, but it was expecting so as to use the dash to get out of there. And Jimmy once again waylaying Seoul Dynasty's forward progress by getting rid of their engagement tool of the wall. This means that now Piggy can be a lot more aggressive knowing that he won't get walled in.
We got a flanking brig with the rally with Choice A1. Seoul Dynasty getting crunched. Belosaria, Choice one, Jimmy on the floor from the Shatter. Soundbeer, Amp Matrix, Tactical Visor, Soul throwing everything but the kitchen sink at this point. As Charge give it up at about 82. Xerneas forcing out 1 or 2 more percentage. Soul back in the driver's seat.
Like you said though, Lemon, that was everything. Seoul Dynasty paying everything that's in the piggy bank in order to once again control this area. But they can be dislodged super easily. Using this Dragon Strike, Choice A1 now going to swap away from the Genji onto the Trace. I think he gets better to try and either check Profit or get the pressure onto Lee Soo-min. Jimmy on the off angle. A well-placed headshot could turn this into a 3-stage control map.
They're looking for a place for the Dragon right through the engage of Soul. We're missing their break. Nano available. Do you give this to Piggy or Choice A1? Piggy needs it more. Pops the Primal. Far away. Waits for the moment. Pulse from Profit. Jimmy gets Nano. That's what saves him. Soul Dynasty down bad, though. Missing 2 in this fight. And it's 96 for the Dynasty. They will have to reset, and it'll go into final fight for the round.
One final fight. No ultimates for Soul Dynasty to try and make use of here. Lee Soo-min's going to swap over onto the Ana here to try and give long-range support. Now, it's a full comp swap from Soul Dynasty. They have the time to do it, yes, but Profit might have to feed onto Point to make this work. Choice A1 almost has a pulse bomb. If that can go onto Krillin, it could be deadly.
Charge, have the point. Someone has to touch for the Dynasty. Hello, anyone home?
Profit getting picked early, potentially slept by Farway. Might have been the designated toucher, but there were so many changes that we saw from the Soul Dynasty as they fumbled and tried to find a competition that they could play here. Once again, swapping over towards the Brawls. Jimmy.
Back-to-back C9s. Like, pretty good.
Just a couple timing issues, you know. With a more newly constructed team, maybe you're having a little bit more trouble getting to the point as you would like. That's such a good anti, by the way. It stops Velos Rio from picking up the Mega Pack. Farway has been, aside from that weird lack of nano onto Piggy that was potentially deadly on first point, very good with the decision making and the trust in Choice A1.
Okay, the Reinhardt Rush versus Reinhardt Rush. And it's equal, but Piggy swings to the fences, and Belosri is too low. He's just holding a shield and on his knees, and Charge will make him bend, and they will have the first point.
Dude, Mastermind Piggy, what a fake out there. Turns away to try and trick Profit into thinking, oh, he's not going to go for the third swing, so I don't need to use my Ice Block. I can simply wait here, pressure, and get the healing. Oh my god, Profit's died twice before the points even been capped. This is not amazing here. Profit maybe not getting enough healing or just simply a little bit too reticent on using the Ice Block. And it is going to limit Soul Dynasty's uptime as we do have so many anti-tank characters on the field. This is going to be a nightmare for both Velos Rio and Piggy.
Oh, good Maywall from Profit just to slow down that play. Reinhardt's beating the heck out of each other. Velos Rio, Piggy close to Shatter. First one to get it could make a splash in this first fight. Charge taking up all the space in the world and still having the point. Soul Dynasty rotate to server for App Matrix, and Piggy buries them. Not before Belos Rio tries to get his revenge and keep his team alive. App Matrix's exchange. Blizzard first for Choice A1, 15% ahead from Profit. And that'll give the Charge at least an edge at the end. 2 still left on the point. And here comes the Charge.
Beautiful peeling wall from Choice A1 as well. Keeps Piggy alive after being slammed in front of that Ant Matrix. Another charge in and trying to bisect for Soul Dynasty and keep them off the point. It's an easy recap due to that Maywall. But now Profit holds the Blizzard in his hand. Snowball ready to turn the fates of the Soul Dynasty.
There's the Jimmy Photon barrier. Charge play behind it. The Blizzard from Profit thrown past it. Soul Dynasty have to... Oh, Krillin! I almost died of a heart attack. Charge also dropping barrier 2. They seem fine for now. As the dice fall, you have Profit on the flank, getting healed up by Lee Soo-min. Is by Belos Rio's side. Without Piggy in the picture, Dynasty can run amok and bulldoze the rest of the Charge, but with Farway popping at Matrix, Dynasty are forced to use PH's Photon Bear to protect themselves. Everyone is throwing ultimates and not really knowing what the result of the fight will be. Now a Blizzard in a 3v3 from Choice A1, and Charge hit by the Belos Rio Shatter. And as we're
left, got frozen out of his shadow there. Still not enough to win out the fight. A well-timed Blizzard from Choice A1, but Farway being picked on the other side meant that there was no healing to sustain the fight itself. Now Soul Dynasty, they have to lock in for the long hold here, Lemon. The Helm's Deep here on Control Center. Piggy once more has a slam. Last time it hit 4 and spelled doom for the Soul Dynasty. They were on the deficit from there, and a TP on to the point.
Such a long brawl for charge through 1,000,001 ultimates. Got them to 94%. Dynasty have point control. Shatter
away!
Around the corner! Dynasty find themselves 6 feet under with Piggy on top.
MTD. There's a reason why Piggy's number on this team is 69, baby, because that shatter was nice. And that's twice now Piggy's done that. A 4-person shatter and a 5-person shatter. Piggy is him. There's no other way to say it. On the Reinhardt, he's actually doubling Belos Ria's damage per 10, 7.3k versus 14.6. Piggy is the man. He is the porcine warlord.
And the 2-liter chug by Jimmy. The job is easy when you got Piggy talking, yapping in game, on the field, and out of game. You saw him keep yelling into his mic after that. What a map for the charge. Up 1-0. Getting in Belos Ria's head. But to be fair, Belos Ria was more known for his dive than the Reinhardt. And we'll see in the next map if that'll maybe favor the Dynasty in the end.
Little chuckle here for Xerneas as Guangzhou Charge celebrates some early advantage here. Going up against the Seoul Dynasty. For Guangzhou Charge, this is historically not been an amazing matchup for them. Franchise versus franchise, but there's something in the water, Lemon. There's something on the wind. There's something a little bit different about Guangzhou Charge in 2023. Piggy has bought the secret sauce. The barbecue has been fired up. The meat is roasting. The cooking is here. And Guangzhou Charge, they are taking an early lead.
And Guangzhou Charge haven't dropped a single map in the qualifiers so far. Seoul Dynasty find themselves a step behind. But after this break, we'll find out where we're going to next. Charge are feeling electrified after that Lijiang Tower. MTD in the chat. But up next, we're gonna determine the real king of tanks. And I'm expecting some more Reinhardt leg day.
I mean, there are no excuses when you go mano a mano on King's Row, right? That's where we're going to be heading for Hybrid. And Bellosaria has a lot to make up for here. But of course, it was not a solo show. I think that we could all agree that we've been very impressed with Choice A1. Jimmy's getting some excellent picks on the Hanzo. And the Hanzo is something that we've learned to expect on King's Row. An off-angle fight between Prophet and Jimmy might be what determines the overall pace of this game and facilitates either Bellosaria or Piggy determining on who wins to get in onto that backline and really start using the speed. But one of the things that's most impressed me thus far is the aggressiveness of teleport plays, what we saw between Prophet and Bellosaria. Maybe Seoul Dynasty can lean into this clarity of purpose that they've been presented to try and get an advantage in those games.
Yeah, PH versus Jimmy on the Hanzo. Prophet versus Choice A1. I had a bit of a giggle when Seoul tweeted about the profit margin instead of the tracer gap. Quite creative, along with some of the signs we've seen in the crowd. Although the players are not on the stage, it's nice to see the fans show up for their teams at the WDG Esports studio in Seoul. And we'll go into map 2 on King's Row, where that's why I was expecting some more Reinhardt, but Winston obviously viable too for that first point, but he'd rather go with the composition you're going to run through for point B, and Winston not as strong on these narrow parts of the map.
Yeah, Winston can struggle a little bit on second compared to Ryan. First is kind of anybody's game, but there's certainly something to be said of like trying to play the same composition on first and second so that you don't get snowballed by a team that maintains compositions and gets to maintain their ultimate charge as well. Here we can see the Guangzhou charge preparing. We still have Farway and Xerneas not in seats, so...
Well, we got a translation from our sign. A shout out to Unknown, who's translating for us. The sign said, Void is strong, LSM is cute, Prophet is sexy, and Krillin is trustworthy. What? I feels like BM towards Krillin. I would not want to be the trustworthy one. I want to be the sexy or cute one. What the heck?
Or the strong one. And you know what? There's nothing there for PH either.
Oh yeah, what happened to him? He's there.
Well, we saw it. We saw an intro video from the Seoul Dynasty in the first week where I think Prophet said that the team was slightly worried because they think PH is dumb, but at least he aims well. So a little bit of inter-team enjoyment. Some Jimmy enjoyers.
Yeah, and we got a Chinese sign that we can't read, supporting the Guangzhou Charge and Jimmy. That half Chinese, half Korean roster. All right, Xerneas, you done your bathroom break? Okay, PH is now gone too. We'll get into map 2 shortly for King's Row, where I believe we knew who was defending here. Yeah. The Seoul Dynasty are attacking first. Guangzhou are defending.
Ah, I see. Okay. Speaking of Chinese players, by the way, and Jimmy, Farway, and Xerneas, I want to drag the attention back to Farway again and talk about Farway's position for a while as kind of the understudy to Monk. Obviously, Monk now taking the flex support role in our Chinese super team of the Hangzhou Spark, but Farway finally going to get a chance to break out as a top tier flex support. Oh, hello. That's some fantastic shading on that artwork there. Big fan of these signs.
Oh, we also have some cool support for the Korean casters. I got some lore about the turtle signs that we saw in the previous series about Akaros. I hope I'm saying that right. We got more caster art for the Korean casters. Lots of love for them. Maybe one day we'll get our crowd and someone will draw your tall vertical hair.
True. The full block of hair, the extra half foot of height that it adds. I believe one of those was Jimmy is the killing boy in Chinese.
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, I would be hard pressed to disagree. Jimmy has been the killing boy thus far. He's been killing lots. And officer, I didn't mean to, but he do be aiming.
even got like profanity on the signs. Thank goodness we don't know what it says. But at least one of the signs said, "Watching League until I die." Diehard fans showing up to the WDG Esports studio. Me for he just like me for
I
real.
thought they were trying to do a sleeping cam, but I think just on the phone.
No, oh, I thought he was sleeping. Oh,
Play the Orisa.
yeah,
I think a Mag Orisa would return potentially.
Cease your resistance. I like that. The A is like a 2.
Well, Dallas Fuel certainly sees their resistance. Unfortunately. As did
Hi.
aw,
I back out. Yeah.
big wave. I like the 3D, the 3D tech start. Here we go. Finally heading into map. It's going to be King's Row. We've got butts in seats. We've got a hybrid map lined on up Rialto later as well. It's also going to be super interesting as we finally get to see maybe a Jimmy PH sniper duel. Maybe a bit of the Piggy Diva. But in the here and now, Lemon, I would like to see a little bit more of this Rhine because Belarus needs a redemption arc. Piggy absolutely cleared.
Yeah, but what kind of support is Piggy gonna get this time? Control are always smaller maps in terms of space. King's Row, you have to walk towards an objective and of course defend it. So it does change pace of play versus Control where both teams are attacking at the same time and it's kind of a snowbally game type with... You saw how crazy Control Center got with everyone throwing ultimates left and right. I couldn't even keep track. I don't think the teams could either. Think I heard Piggy?
Oh. There we go. So, they had to summon the energy for the second chance. Of course, it's a big part of the Korean esports culture to have these cheers go on. I believe they are quite heavily practiced before they're deployed on the broadcast. And like you said, some people, they really have to put out their lungs doing these. The official cheerleaders, I imagine, is a position of considerable prestige. Lisa Min seems to be setting up for a set nade here, but why not actually activate that?
Yeah, for now, Dynasty will have PH up on the top window, swapping out after scouting. And no Reinhardt battles. Winston very viable to get to that top right high ground, where Xerneas is sitting at with the Brigida, hoping to keep Jimmy packed up, ready to go. Kind of an initial dive from Belosuria, flailed away by Xerneas. We got both teams posturing. Prophet pressuring the point as the Tracer, not summoning any attention yet until he goes to the high ground and summons the flail to the face.
Or Prophet going incredibly low. That demands all of the support's attention and drags Belosuria back for a touch of peel. At the moment, Xerneas is being such an effective bodyguard for Jimmy, which is giving plenty of time to hit those shots. Alas, I don't think Jimmy's actually hit a single shot yet. He's on he's on passive ult charge of 15%, but hey, it's the first shot you hit that counts, and PH felt that the hard way.
That's an opening for the charge. Maybe go for more. Saw Piggy leaving the bubble at the front, almost not leaving Prophet a route of exit. Very slow, passive Soul Dynasty, who are waiting for maybe a PH first blood or Prophet to pressure more of the point, but he's not staying there long enough for the charge to really drop down. Nano, that's what they've been waiting for, to the high ground and slept in that narrow hallway. It's tough to dodge. Gets shot by PH, charge down a healer, as Soul can make their way to the point.
PH taking the high ground now. Still, there's a slight hostage situation as Xerneas is trying to keep that Inspire uptime. Guangzhou Charge playing this a little bit more patiently as they await a recontest from Farway and Piggy. Of course, the Nano's almost available, which could turn this one around when Farway finally gets LOS.
It's like just a Hanzo 1v1 and everyone just are spectators. Oh, but I want to watch that one. Prophet pulls on the far way. Lee Soo-min traded. Primal from Belosuria and Piggy buying time as Soul Dynasty are looking for that final tick. And off into the distance is Belosuria having a bar fight with the back line of Charge. That'll net them the payload.
Prophet still got it, man. Getting rid of Farway, making sure that Nano could not be brought to bear. Here we go. Heading now into second point. Once again, I wonder where Xerneas is going to position here in order to try and mitigate the Belosuria dives. The whip shots of these Brigitas are so important as sort of the secondary indicator of when an engagement is good. Sometimes those whip shots can be baited out. Choice A1 catches a headshot from PH. That's going to slow down the Guangzhou charge here and potentially an ult farming scenario, but they've already got the nano, so not ideal.
Piggy in a tough spot. Bubble popped. No primal. Solar not really full committed to that alleyway, so Piggy's not taking too much damage. If anything, it was to generate support ults. Farway has the nano, but with Seoul Dynasty getting free push, charge waiting to this point is going to cost them space. Dragon strike from Choice A1 as Belos Ria committed forward, and there is the engage. Seoul Dynasty respecting that as the charge invested the nano to Xerneas and the rally and the dragon. 3 ults for 0 kills.
Yep, 3 ults and a little bit of passivity here. Time will be drained, yes. Choice A1 looking for a target. Krillin seems to be number 1. Big stick, goodbye.
Yeah, popping rally at low health is such a risk. It takes time for that healing to generate. Belos Ria still thinks this is winnable at the primal. Only has Ana heal, so has to find Lee Soo-min sitting in main. Not a big fan of the efficiency of these ultimates. Charge, I mean, they used 3 ults and the card hasn't moved, so despite not killing anything, you're stopping the progress, which is the point of defending. Seoul Dynasty, engage, Prophet, misses the pulse. And Seoul Dynasty have a bigger problem, and it's Piggy behind them using the primal. Jimmy at least headshots. Prophet, PH gone too. And the initiative from the charge is real paying off as Piggy MTD continues with a 3K.
Well, Belos Ria hunted down here as well by Choice A1. That's going to be a slightly longer spawn, but nothing overly consequential. It's PH. Swaps over now. Onto the Sombra. Maybe we'll try and get onto one of these more vulnerable heroes, but this is going to increase the setup time for Seoul Dynasty significantly. So Seoul Dynasty are going to be able to squeeze far fewer fights out of a 1 minute and 45 that they have left available. Prophet's gone as well. Xerneas actually picked off Prophet twice now with a whip shot, seemingly with the help of the Hanzo assist.
Charge continue to hold this choke. It's been tough for Seoul Dynasty to really put pressure on this backline, and I think that's why PH is on the Sombra. Not winning the Hanzo duels, or not satisfied with that performance. Be able to slip into the backline unnoticed, and everyone's caught lacking. Post bomb, easiest stick of Choice in one's life. 2K as the charge take fight after fight, and Seoul Dynasty can't even go back home.
You got to set enable. I've got 1, 2. Catching Lee Soo-min trying to set that one up, but the pace here for Guangzhou charge. Always striking first. A minute remains. PH caught out from stealth. And look at that. The direction of the translocator gives Choice here an idea of where he should be hunting if he deigns to go after that Sombra and try and hunt down the translocator. Farway playing inside here is important to try and mitigate the overall LOS of the EMP.
Dive after dive, but Piggy is nanoed, has more damage and damage mitigation. Goes after Lee Soo-min. The sleep connects. Piggy out of the picture. He'll have the primal to get out, and he will not have to use it. Good healing from Farway. Good bubble placement from Piggy. A better sleep to stop the Belos Ria. Nano jump in. He has been woken up, though. Has to place the bubble. Seoul Dynasty needs to fuel for their tank. He's been anti. Now Belos Ria has to primal. And what can Seoul Dynasty produce? Well, it's taken a lot of time to generate progress. 7 seconds left, and Seoul Dynasty aren't even close to point B.
They can try and stop the touch here, but no, the EMP strikes first. It grabs everyone, Lemon. A massacre in favor of the Seoul Dynasty off the back of PH. The newbie on the roster says, don't worry, boys. I'll carry this one through. Xerneas, you could see, was trying to sit in and wait, grab a stun with the rally to try and stop a touch, but it was effectively hit out by Prophet, who's just going to try and push their luck here for even more ult charge. Guangzhou charge, try and figure out how they want to approach this next fight. Prophet hitting a pulse bomb here could be malignant for their efforts.
DP hits it. Overtime. Last fight for Seoul Dynasty's attack. Prophet pulse. Nothing yet. Xerneas rally. This could be what stuns up and locks up Belos Ria. Krillin the same thing to Piggy. Choice in one forced to recall. Keep that in mind for the Tracer duel against Prophet. Rally to rally. Nano to Piggy. Defense with closer respawns as Piggy plays cat and mouse. in the back line, rolling around in the mud. Without Bellosaria, Seoul Dynasty have to rely on the cycling of Prophet and PH on this cart. Prophet's been nanoed, but Farway is getting more kills on the Ana. A funny tragedy as Prophet does his best, but he's only a man, he's only one person. And Seoul Dynasty will fail to get point B.
Lots of goats to a god's Lemon. Jimmy puts him down in the end, and honestly, Jimmy's been so impressive, but one thing I need to highlight in terms of the stats here to give our audience some insight is Piggy and Choice A1 both hitting over 10k damage per 10 on Tracer and Winston. Choice A1 at the moment is absolutely dominating Prophet when it comes to the Tracer stats. Maybe that's down to doing a little bit more damage onto Bellosaria, but it doesn't seem like Choice A1 is lacking pressure onto that backline either. Right now, Choice A1 sitting at 8k damage done. Prophet just shy of 5k with twice as many deaths.
Yeah, Seoul are just not killing much, I gotta say. The pulse bombs from Prophet not hitting as much. PH not feeling himself on the Hanzo, went to the Sombra. The EMP he did get was one of the fight wins Seoul got to break out of the point B choke. And Seoul took so long just to figure out what, who, when to dive. And then when they did, Bellosaria jumped up with Nano. I guess Seoul were waiting for a Nano. Bellosaria jumps up, gets slept by Farway. That play is dead. Jimmy got multiple first bloods, which delayed Seoul even more. And this is not a far push for Seoul, so Charge have a chance to go to match point.
Exactly so. Oh, hello. Little catch here. Onto PH. Jimmy doing the scouting. And Seoul Dynasty. They've been having trouble making these engagements work. Bellosaria is already so low, but they should be easily healed through by Lee Soo-min. Prophet. No pressure coming through from them as they've been forced out. Super low health themselves.
I think Bellosaria is taking damage on purpose to get Lee Soo-min nano charge. And look, he's already at 40%, but Farway has the same idea. Almost 2 ticks charitably given to the charge. Yep, that's been guaranteed. Seoul Dynasty are just on the flank. They'll guarantee a kill on the Xerneas, but if they don't delay this point capture, it won't matter. To summon the attention of Prophet, who will delay this. And Bellosaria in the back is having an impact, of course. They've killed Farway and more. Charge get off the point to actually peel for their backline and don't manage to get the third and final tick, but you're still happy with the first 2.
Yeah, 2 ticks given away to charity. What is it, the end of a fiscal year and I'm a Fortune 500 company? Capitalism. Choice A1. Okay. No translocator. So no translocator slams home?
I don't know if maybe Choice A1 killed the translocator. That's my cope for the day. Bellosaria lives thanks to the... Oh, it wasn't even a nano. At least you had nanoed Prophet. We'll see. They can deliver on that front charge. So close to the final tick. Piggy has used the primal just to make sure that the remnants of Dynasty tell Cersei it was me. PH can't even translocate. He will go back to spawn. Nope. He's dead.
Damn, man. That's crazy.
Piggy's having fun.
Yeah, Piggy is having fun. I wonder if Prophet got blasted deep enough inside the subway that maybe they would have been able to change their spawner room. Alas, was not to be, and Guangzhou Charge has taken a huge amount of room here. I believe they've left Xerneas on the cart behind him. Yeah, you can see Farway's got the heals coming through from just behind. This gives a lot of staying power to Piggy to try and force Seoul Dynasty to use resources to even move out of the Foundry area.
Oh, Piggy got hacked, but he's in a safe spot. Seoul Dynasty, EMP, waiting for Charge to be in this open area together. EMP from PH. Xerneas and Jimmy hit. Rally. No, actually, the Nano onto Xerneas to keep him up. Charge still antied and managing to keep Bellosaria in his place. 5-4. Charge needs to take this space and go for kills. PH just translocate back. Piggy ain't done yet. He smells blood in the water. You found PH multiple translocates out. And Charge 1 fight away from winning the map.
And 3 minutes and 40 seconds in which to do it, Lemon. A well-placed Dragon Strike here. If Seoul Dynasty overstack themselves on the right-hand room, might be brutal. Prophet noted by Jimmy, but for now, Choice A1's the first to fall.
Yeah, Charge down 1 this fight. They have the Jimmy Dragon Strike. I wonder if they're trying to funnel Seoul into a small area to do so. Dynasty anchoring the cart too. Charge falling back for Choice A1. Being aware and not being able to bait Dynasty into this narrow area for the Jimmy Dragon Strike. So they'll have to go with plan B. Splitting off into the alleyway is the Charge, trying to take angles around. The rally from the defense begins. The Dragon Strike right through. Belosaria jumps out, and Prophet kicks up the fight for the defense. Good pulse on the far way. Xerneas with the rally is the only source of healing for this offense, and Charge just don't want that smoke.
Krillin using the 3D peek with a shield to get a good view here of what's happening on the flanks. Choice A1 noted as they approach. Pulse bomb goes in. Prophet dies. Hello, hello, hello. Tracer on Tracer bomb action.
Nano Krillin, a lot of sustain in this back line as they try to join their tank. Soul Dynasty down. Charge up by 1. Primal from Piggy. That'll be all she wrote. And Piggy's gonna make sure they heard it. EMP from PH. He's the only one left and only manages to kill 1. Soul Dynasty dead in the water. And Charge have not dropped the map yet.
Oh, 12k damage done by Choice A1. Absolutely on fire. 13 final blows, 26 limbs, and only 4 deaths. Unbelievable thus far from Choice A1. Actually building up pulse bombs much faster than Prophet. About 1 minute and 3 seconds per ult earns to 1 minute and 37. Choice A1, this could be his year. He's been trapped in a prison of Guangzhou's own making for too long, but now the Guangzhou Charge have been released, Lemon, and they are making a comeback tour that is having a very high body count.
And Belosaria just magically turning into another player on the KMs. I wonder if they're doing a substitution, or maybe Belosaria will break out of his cocoon and become the butterfly because his team needs it. The tank diff is real, and more about the coordination of the Charge behind Piggy. This is a whole new team, and Piggy is the newest one on the roster and fits this team like a glove. Just going and beating people in spawn. Getting a 3K is what this highlight is showing. But it's match point for the Charge. We're going to throw it to a break to see if the Dynasty can remain together. Charge are on match point. We decided the tank duel on Lijiang Tower, and the king was crowned on our second map. And the Seoul Dynasty have one last chance to prove themselves, and they've called for backup.
Indeed they have, Lemon. Backup is forthcoming. World Champion Void has entered the chat, and as we go to Rialto, I'm expecting to see some D.Va, possibly even some Sigma in a more rare display, but D.Va's going to be excellent for trying to keep Piggy at bay, interrupting those leaps. I don't think we've seen as much in terms of mitigating Piggy's landings from Krillin or Lee Soo-min on the Brigitte, as we've seen from Xerneas, who's been doing a lot to keep Belos Rhea at bay. And you know what? You can't whip shot away the D.Va. She's got continuous momentum during those boosters, and of course is excellent at bruising down that Winston and guaranteeing safe passage for your vulnerable support underbelly when you're moving into the sightlines of what I assume is going to be a Jimmy Widow map.
Piggy's all smiles. A lot of energy behind this team. Going up against Void. You tell even by the cameras that Belos Rhea not satisfied with his performance. We know that Belos Rhea's peak is so much greater. We saw it against the Philadelphia Fusion when they clutched up against the Hangzhou Spark in many important Game 5s in the playoffs, I think it was. But I think for this next map, you gotta call for an off-tank, whether the Sigma or the D.Va, as you described, by Void. But even in King's Row, whatever tank we're seeing, it's just like this Hanzo 1v1 between Jimmy and PH, and we're all just kind of watching.
Yeah, we're all watching and waiting, and Jimmy often doesn't have to wait long before getting a headshot. Jimmy's actually been doing a very good job of keeping Prophet contained for the Tracer duel, hitting a bunch of headshots onto Prophet, as well as bringing Prophet low with a body shot, which has allowed for Xerneas to actually get multiple whip shot kills on that Tracer when her spacing would indicate that she should be fairly safe. And it's the surprise conflux of that damage together, which has left Prophet taking the long, shameful walk back from spawn a couple more times when Choice Air won.
It's cool to see all the signs. I just wish I could read them, so I always have to wait for someone to translate it for me. But of course, this is from the WDG Esports studio in Seoul. The watch party for the Owl matches. Someone said, tank that is not Void is not satisfactory. Okay, that I was gonna say that first part seemed sus. I was like, wait, tank that is not Void? That's kind of mean. But then, yeah, the second part matters.
Is that the longest way of saying Void clears? I mean, for the fans in Seoul, obviously, they had a fantastic start to their day. Seoul Infernal dominating the Dallas Fuel, making them look absolutely platinum. Meanwhile, here with the Seoul Dynasty, the Legacy Seoul team, the team with Seoul Korea on the jersey, no less. It's been less glorious. Guangzhou have been dominating, and here on Rialto, PH has got to step up. Jimmy is going to be reigning over these Italian vistas with an iron fist and a lead bullet.
And I think the difference between these two teams is, yes, Charge are playing that much better, but it's a playstyle clash for me. Seoul Dynasty playing incredibly passive, waiting for nanos, waiting for a first pick by PH, which isn't coming. And on the other side of the Charge, Piggy is playing incredibly aggressive. This is a new player to the roster that says, hold my beer, I'm going in. And it's just, that's what he does. And everyone follows suit. And it makes Choice A1 look amazing when he can hit every pulse bomb too. The profit margin not favoring Prophet in this case, as it's hard to sync up with Belos Rhea. But we go to Rialto as Seoul Dynasty have come back from greater depths, but Charge haven't dropped a map this season yet. So who will stop them?
Surely someone. They can't keep getting away with it, Lemon. But perhaps they shall. Seoul Dynasty, a siren call for their sweep will be cheered along. Heading down a lot.
Okay.
we're just floating down the rivers, pounded on all sides by cheers, possibly cries of anguish. And Jimmy I wonder if this is going to be permanent. It's what I wanted to see. There's going to be a lot of pressure onto this Widowmaker. With a Sombra and a Tracer on the other side, Jimmy realizes I'm not getting the sniper door that I wanted, and so moving over to Hanzo is a little bit more flexible.
Especially with Sonic, it gives you some important utility. Widow, a little bit easier at these super long ranges, but if you want to burst down a tank, Hanzo will do the job. And especially it puts a lot more fear into a Tracer that's flanking you. Easier to hit that headshot at least. But for now, Seoul Dynasty on the double flanker. See if they can go after Jimmy, who's well protected by Piggy. As Charge look for progress. They do make it around the bend as Seoul Dynasty hold the high ground well. But you need to see some contest from Prophet. His attention to the cart. Stop that progress as Charge take to the skies. See if they can dislodge this defense from the corner. Lee Soo-min left behind. But good Matrix from Boy to eat up some of that damage, but he will take his life in his own hands, I guess.
I'm done with this. I'm going swimming. Boys, D-Max, D-Life, and Krillin now the next to be chased down. Surely, yes, there is going to be a touch of peel there. A good shield rotation keeps the explosions at bay. But the Guangzhou Charge's progress cannot be stopped, Lemon. 5 minutes now as we head into point B of Rialto, and already plays are being made to try and control the high ground. Keep Lee Soo-min away from there. You want to make sure the Ana never has a safe area to allow easy access for Choice A1.
Seoul Dynasty playing very passive, waiting for Nano and ults to come up before really taking a fight, and they need to learn how to play high tempo in these neutrals too. Play off of hacks from Prophet, or PH, who's been generating the EMPs quite quickly. That'll be one of the, I guess, a very high charge ultimate for Seoul Dynasty. Pulse from Prophet. We looked away. It was R-rated. 5-4 for Seoul Dynasty on the defense, who can kick things off in their favor for once. Barway exposed, hacked, Matrix there, Transcendence forced, Barway getting far away from this fight and leaves Jimmy to die, who did not get the memo about leaving the party early.
Jimmy, I'm leaving. Goodbye. Lee Soo-min quickly catches a dink here. Guangzhou Charge, they felt something in the air, feeling that they can still exact some pressure upon this, and Barway swap over onto the Zenyatta. Here's a quick look at Lee Soo-min falling off the map. Oh, simply didn't get his grippers in the plants. You got to take roots down there. A nice boop coming through from Xerneas, even if it doesn't get credit.
Ooh, EMP, and yeah, that hurts a lot when you don't have Transcendence. And I mean, that Transcendence from Farway, even though it's popped early, you could produce something from that fight, but the disengage not followed by charge. Jimmy got separated away from the flock, and I understand that Hanzo doesn't have insane mobility, but I didn't even see a jump from the guy. Jimmy says, I'm sending it. And Charge have lost a lot of momentum from that.
Yeah, now you've got to try and cross this area where there's so much safety for Lee Soo-min to operate from. Piggy has to try and challenge her out directly. Maybe a 2v1 onto Prophet, but a well-considered disengage here means that there's plenty of support to come through from both Krillin and Void.
Okay, Prophet pulls miss, rally from Xerneas, Dragon Strike, and it's right through the right side, not keeping Seoul Dynasty trapped in the fight, which would have been more ideal of a placement for Jimmy. But Charge haven't had their progress stopped in a while, as Seoul Dynasty only have a Nano to depend on. They'll send Void in towards Xerneas to confirm that kill, in the Zen Orb just won't be enough to heal that, but Charge slip it by and cap point B!
They slip it by exactly, Lemon. Seoul Dynasty just playing a little bit too split, concentrated on the spacing, not concentrated on the cart. Void can get staggered out here as the remainder of Guangzhou Charge will be respawning forwards. And Farway can now try and force this next fight using the Transcendence, as of course it's out of sync with the EMP, which is where you're usually going to be using it to try and counter. Farway's actually in trouble towards the back, maybe Prophet attempting an assassination, but Guangzhou Charge quick to react to this. Piggy's been fairly on it, although Piggy doesn't currently have a mech. Piggy just got a Baby Diva kill onto Prophet. No way.
He's got the mech back as a reward, so that's cool for Charge. 5-4, Dynasty. C9 afterwards. They gotta get their heads into the game. This 3-minute time bank. If If Charge cap this, it's gonna be unstoppable. And Dynasty are looking down the barrel of match point. PH been discovered. Okay, playing chicken with these Hanzo arrows, man. I'm scared for him. EMP hits 3. Farway can't pop the Transcendence in time. And PH makes his presence known.
Oh, Krillin pops the rally as well. Perhaps a touch unneeded, but hey, if you gotta live, you gotta live. That was a beautiful EMP as well, coming through from PH. It also takes away the Mega Pack that both Jimmy and Farway were relying on. Rather, Jimmy and Xerneas. They couldn't use that. Here's a quick look at the replay. Here's Piggy actually getting a headshot kill onto Tracer. Ah, yes. What a skillful display of Overwatch gaming.
Special delivery. Prophet not able to convert on these pulses is setting him behind against Choice in one. And Seoul Dynasty need a win condition that is not PH's EMPs. Like the nanos. Not helping out too much. I mean, Void, last time he got nano, they C9, so that didn't help. Charge have 4 ultimates, almost 5, going into the end of point C. Krillin's gonna play as deep as he can, away from range of Tracers, Divas. Dragon Strike gets Void a bit low, but he'll have a self-destruct to pop, and he wants to put it at a good place. Right on top of the box, blocked by Xerneas' shield. Piggy able to get back into the mech, or actually use his self-destruct. An explosive performance by the Charge as they cap with 90 seconds.
Dude, Choice A1 is him. There's no other way to say it. What in the world is he up to? Already 2 sticks, 1 minute 16 per pulse bomb earned. Once again, Choice A1 is pulling ahead of Prophet in the Tracer stats. Only 1 death so far. And it makes sense now why we saw Krillin use that weird rally. Wanted to swap over onto the Zen. Let's a quick look at Choice A1. And it makes sense you want to swap over to the Zen when Choice A1's being as difficult as they are. Like, while the Brigitte does have good survivability against the Zen, at this level you kind of want to put your faith in Prophet, right? You want to try and give him the double orb duel where he's got the Harmony orb, Choice A1's got the Discord, and it gives you such a huge advantage of a Tracer versus Tracer. But unfortunately, it meant that Seoul Dynasty had little to defend themselves from Piggy when he started marauding through towards the back line.
Yeah, Seoul Dynasty, I mean, they're trying different things. They're nanoing Void, but they're not communicating about cart presence. Prophet is confused on whether to help with the tank duel and to demeg Piggy, or to duel with Choice in one on the cart. Doesn't know where he should have his presence at. PH goes to the Sombra, which EMPs have been good. Seoul Dynasty able to force an early Transcendence from far away. Had a couple fight losses for the Charge. PH narrowly missing a headshot there. On himself, I mean. So he'll swap.
Nice pocket here from Xerneas, just keeping Jimmy a little bit safer. That actually goes for a swap and then swaps back. We'll give it a little reset on the grapple if need be. And this is the sniper duel I wish to see. And Jimmy's now once again clued in to Prophet returning. He's playing a lot further back here. Remember that with mostly squishy characters, the damage drop off of those headshots not so much of an issue.
Just getting into position is Soul to the high ground. PH sticking to the Widow here is brave against, but I guess you only have Choice A1. It's going to be hunting you down. Soul, though, aren't getting much progress. And if you remember Charge's attack, this was pretty smooth sailing. So already better contest from Charge and a good understanding. And PH understands how to hit headshots. Wins that against Jimmy, 5-4. With Seoul Dynasty, can they get the cart moving from this?
A brutal shot. Didn't seem pre-pinged after, just down to that reaction time. And Piggy, so much damage being taken. The anti put onto both Xerneas and Farway, so they've got to look out for themselves now. So Piggy isolated without as many heals, but manages to find a Mega. No Sombras to control those, means that it's whoever can get there first grabs them, and Prophet did it again. PH
doing a great job to ignite the Seoul Dynasty offense. Transcendence, though, from far away, and a 4v4 gives Charge a chance to contest. But this brings out the nano from Void, who wants to get this done as quickly as possible. Piggy self-destruct buys a few more seconds for the charge to get their feet on this heart with 0.29 meters. Charge reestablished. Now have to fight through the self-destruct. And Seoul Dynasty throwing a lot of ults at this and not able to convert. And without Lee Soo-min, it's up to Krillin to keep them up.
Choice Air 1 still filthy with it. 29 centimeters stood between Guangzhou Charge and Oblivion, but they dug in their heels and they refused to move. A little bit of an escort here for PH, moving around the outside, and Jimmy doesn't quite want to take this stall considering how much support there is for PH. And now, as things start to break down and people start to spread out more, you can try and take your duels as Jimmy.
Nice one clip by Choice A1. Going after Lee Soo-min next. Krillin, attention, misses the bash. Choice A1 with Mega has 3 people after him. Seoul Dynasty just need to trust and profit to deal with that. You can't be chasing a Tracer around and forgetting about the front line. Now Krillin and friends return to the cart. Less than 1 minute. The rally at the front and Charge contests with their own rally. And Dynasty just can't seem to get a clean team fight win.
Thing is, Choice Air 1 as well, he kites back this way knowing that he can bait people into Jimmy's sightlines. Prophet's managed to make it all the way to the back and kill Jimmy. Now Piggy might well stand alone, zone away onto Xerneas, but Choice Air 1's evened it up. 2 Widows dead and a trance is still available.
Yeah, the Charge can continue cycling. As long as Piggy is up, does Harvey want to pop trance to save Piggy? He's like, I'm gonna bomb this one. Throws it over the roof. Seoul Dynasty live. And Seoul Dynasty, this has been a minute crawling through. Need to crack this egg. Void sent in with the nano, but the Transcendence counters it. Seoul Dynasty only have a self-destruct, and they don't have a Widow for picks. Is this about to be a full hold after PH contributed so much to this fight? Charge put the Dynasty to bed. And me too, actually. Charge 3-0.
Guangzhou Charge are popping off Lemon, and every single member of this team has gone so huge. It might be Charles who's getting coronated in my neck of the world today, but I only recognize one king, and that king is Choice A1. This guy has been absolutely brutally efficient throughout this entire series, and honestly, I didn't think that you could head into a Tracer versus Tracer matchup against Prophet, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. The man who redefined what it was to be a diving Tracer and come out on 100% of the maps as a clear victor.
And Jimmy and PH had a fun Widow duel. I believe it was on Rialto just now. Choice A1 and Prophet went at it. Choice A1 hit a few more pulse bombs, at least his impact felt there, as we just didn't see the Seoul Dynasty know how aggressive they could be, how far they could extend. We didn't see risks from the Seoul Dynasty. Stuck at point A, not getting through the main bridge and going past the card up until Void got nanoed. And the Guangzhou Charge looked more aggressive with even new Piggy on the roster. And your player of the match is the man himself, the MTD, the laughing tank of Piggy, and his Winston, incredible on King's Row, the Reinhardt diff real on Lijiang Tower, and he got to sit out the last map and still get player of the match.
Piggy managing to dominate here no matter what map he is on. The Winston, of course, remember, Piggy, not so much of a classic Winston player. It was Jungkook playing it in Overwatch 1 when it was Piggy and Jungkook as a duo. Then they had Dante come in to play the Winston for Houston Outlaws. But Piggy, he's had it in his back pocket this entire time. And the thing is, we haven't even seen Piggy's best hero yet. Piggy's best heroes, I think, are both the Zarya and the Sigma. If we end up in a Zarya Sigma meta, Piggy is going to be even more of a menace.
It makes you wonder where Piggy was on the Houston Outlaws. Like, I know there is no one that could replace Dante. And Piggy would come in for a Ryan map, Roadhog, Sigma, drop the mic and leave. We wish we got to see more of Piggy's potential, and I really didn't know what Piggy's potential was up until I've seen this match, and I wasn't sure about the Charge. You know, winning against the Dallas Fuel doesn't say much after kind of how wobbly Dallas Fuel have looked at the start of the season. I just kind of assume that if the Dynasty can beat Infernal, who are looking like the best team in the league right now, or on the eastern side of things, then Dynasty have forced more maps out of better teams. How can they not do this against the Charge?
But timing. How could it not be done? How could you not demolish the Dynasty when you play like this, Lemon? It's been such a big day for Piggy. And I just got to highlight again, like, this guy was an off-tank player. He was never supposed to be the Winston. He wasn't supposed to be John Winston. But John Winston, he certainly was. And doing it against fellow Sphere, a tank with so much expertise on the dive heroes, formerly more of a wrecking ball, but definitely with all of the skill set you need to play the Winston. The force behind Piggy, which allows him this much space from the DPS as well, is being put to such good use. The timing, so solid. And Piggy knows exactly how to exploit that. And that's why he's been rewarded with both our player of the match and a series victory.
I did also enjoy Guangzhou with the Symmetra teleport at the start. And Jimmy, although he usually dodges playing the Sombra, played it on Blizzard World. That was solid. And then went back to the Hanzo. Maybe I'm actually mixing up series. It's been a long night. But this has been a short series, to be honest. And you thought Void, you know, so comfortable on the Diva, was going to look more aggressive diving in. But I think, you know, Seoul Dynasty need more time together to readjust to each other. And the Charge looked comfortable right out the gates. Of course, they did retain 4 of the 5 players they had from last year. So Charge get this head start from that, and they will be first seed. And this is all for the qualification for the knockouts, which will take place much later. There's tons of matches to go still. But being a high seed means you get to maybe get a first round bye.
Yeah, despite it being called the qualifiers, all 6 teams here are going to qualify. None of the OWL teams are going to be missing from our mid-season madness knockouts, but like you said, Lemon, the better you do, the more likely it is that you manage to get one of those buys and don't have to take the tumultuous risk of braving the contenders teams, some of whom are looking incredibly dangerous, especially Pokerface and O2 Blast for some of our lower ranked teams. They might be a boogeyman in the night that could come and take their lunch money and send them to bed with no supper. Overall today, well, we got some time to fill while the interview happens over on the Korean broadcast. So my highlight for today has definitely been Piggy coming to the fore. I think that a lot of people underwrote the victory of Guangzhou Charge 3-0 against Dallas Fuel as Dallas Fuel being bad. But I think that it was definitely Guangzhou Charge being good. Like, it was a match that Guangzhou Charge won, not that Dallas Fuel lost. And I think that people didn't respect just how clean the gameplay was, didn't realize that they had game like they did. And now, up against slightly stiffer competition in the Dynasty, Guangzhou Charge are definitely starting to build up that reputational prestige, but they are the real deal.
And not dropping a single map in their first 2 matches. And I have no doubts that the Dallas Fuel can return to the prime, you know, that championship caliber that we know them for. But there is an adjustment both of being in a different region. This region plays different compositions. They play it also differently. The play styles are more aggressive and more weird. You have Reinhardt comps Symmetra TPing out of the point. You got more Symmetra brawls. You got more Junker Queen in this region. There's a lot more different stuff to prepare for. And of course, the mechanics from the APAC region are just, I personally think, are out of this world. And Dallas Fuel are, it's stiffer competition on this side of the border. And Dallas Fuel, you know, it's a wobbly start to them. Yeah, same thing with Shanghai Dragons, who are 0-2. And you mentioned the Fuel versus Dragons match is going to be good.
It's gonna be good for the audience. That much is going to be guaranteed. I think that Dallas Fuel versus Shanghai Dragons, when it happens, is probably going to be a Dallas Fuel favored bloodbath, because while both teams are looking slightly weaker at the moment, I think that Shanghai Dragons are fairly monodimensional. They're a 1D team who like to play the Winston, and the Winston is not great against the Junker Queen. That's like the one thing where the Junker Queen is definitely at her best, and it's pulling that Winston back and making sure the Winston can't get an effective dive onto the backline, which is why so many teams, like we saw today, are going up against the Junker Queen and just playing the Reinhardt instead. But is Flutter going to pull out a Rhine? It seems increasingly unlikely that that's going to be the case, as Shanghai Dragons seem to have scrimmed one comp and, supposedly scrimmed one comp, but I don't know.
Yeah, if Hanbin loses to Fleta being on tank, Dallas Fuel have bigger problems than we could ever imagine. But it is gonna, I mean, Hanbin has had those hot and cold moments in the last season, hence why he traded so much playtime with Fearless, depending on what the meta was. Hanbin clearly better suited for the Zarya, which ended up being the championship meta, and really something that Dallas Fuel are known for innovation. But when it comes to playing what's meta, sometimes they're slower to adjust compared to others. But it's cool to see a team like Guangzhou Charge, who haven't often been at the top, come out swinging early on.
Yeah, Guangzhou Charge, I think to steal a point from a desk, the talent has always been there. Like, as you said, 4 members of his team have been held over this from last year to this one. Piggy was a late addition to that team, but was still a part of it towards the end of our 2022 season, just not there long enough to make a tangible difference to the standings and get them qualified for playoffs. But I do think that Guangzhou Charge, they have actually been rewarded by believing in the Piggy pickup that was called for and just taking time to integrate him into the roster. And maybe you could argue that against some of these newer rosters like Seoul Dynasty that have been far more recently generated, maybe you've got that familiarity gap from the Guangzhou Charge, which gives them slightly cleaner gameplay. But honestly, on Seoul Dynasty, we saw things like the TP plays from the Symmetra with the Reinhardt that looked like a very practiced and well-drilled team, and they still lost so many, and they're also losing mechanical duels as well. So that's something that Guangzhou Charge have in their back pocket. They're not just winning this through familiarity of their own strats, they're winning it through huge mechanical outplays from both Choi Siwon and Jimmy.
And tomorrow you can look forward to some really good matches. The Seoul Dynasty face off against the Shanghai Dragons. We know what direction that's going. But the second match I think is going to be a banger. The Charge versus the Spark. Now, the Spark are touted as this #1 team in the region. Everyone has them at the top of their power rankings. I mean, how could you not? They got Shy and Leave on the same roster. This has already crowned them MVP. But going up against the Charge, who haven't dropped a map yet, I think that's going to go the distance.
It is definitely going to go the distance, and I think that in a time before, in 2022, if I told you that the most anticipated Tracer matchup in APAC was going to be Leave versus Choice 1, you'd call me a madman. You'd say like you're a silly fool. You've gone too far this time.
Yeah.
We need to put you down.
Too. The matches are silly too. 3-0 across the board. And Dallas Fuel have only won 1 map in those 3 matches, being a King's Row. So maybe preferring that the Zarya rush from Hanbin. It was actually Mag that brought it out too. Soul Infernal just played flawlessly today. We've seen a total of 3 C9s today, if anyone's keeping track. It's been a day. Here's how the standings have now been shook up as the Charge climb up to first.
Yeah, Hangzhou Spark, of course, dropping that map to Dallas Fuel previously, I believe. Doesn't mean that they're second in our standings, but of course, when it comes to claiming that first spot, I think it's going to be down to the results of the Zhou between Guangzhou and Hangzhou that we previously talked about. Meanwhile, Shanghai Dragons, they do have a map in hand. They're to go 0-3 potentially. We haven't seen Seoul Dynasty and Shanghai play their 3rd match yet. I believe that should be coming up tomorrow. Hangzhou Spark also only having played 2 matches. So we do have a slightly skewed table here with some teams having 3 matches and some teams having 2.
And here is your matchup for tomorrow that we already talked about. The Dynasty versus Dragons. Now, how did the Dynasty unboom themselves from today? Because, yes, Charge played well, but Seoul Dynasty didn't look synced up together. It was kind of nervous dives, waiting for nanos, waiting for something, waiting for Hanzo first picks. And I want to see more kind of eagerness from Seoul's tanks. And if they do start losing, they got to unboom themselves. They got to talk to Belosaria, get his head back in the game. Or maybe he was fine and maybe Void just wanted to get a match in. But the Shanghai Dragons will also be chasing their first match win. Facing the 2 best teams in the league, I feel isn't fair for Shanghai. I mean, Hangzhou and the Seoul Infernal. Maybe we just don't know how strong Shanghai really are because they've just been beaten down by #1 and #2.
They have, yes, gone against some high ranked teams, but in the matches it didn't look that close. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's still a chance they could try and bring it back against the Seoul Dynasty, but when it comes to unbooming themselves, like you talked about, Lemon, I think there's nothing better than just having a team outing for the Seoul Dynasty, going on a little bit of a turkey shoot and trying to destroy the Shanghai Dragons. But hey, Shanghai Dragons, they have a bunch of highly touted players on their roster. It's by no means a toothless roster. If you give them an inch, they may well take a mile, but I still find it increasingly unlikely.
Yeah, Dallas, you'll have a tough schedule too. Guangzhou and the Infernal and Hangzhou. Like, Dallas and Shanghai look down in the dumps because they face some of the best. And they may just settle in middle of the pack if they can't beat the big three right now. But it's a long season with many stages. And whatever happens in the knockouts is a different story. This is just for seeding. So, yeah, you'll have a tougher road, maybe facing the top caliber contenders teams. Yeah, you won't have a first round bye if you're not within the top 2 seeds or something like that. But wait for how these teams develop with time. There's been a lot of roster changes. There's been a lot of meta changes. A new hero's been released. People are experimenting with that. But with that, our day has concluded. It's a 6-0 leg day.
Yeah, it's been a quick one. 6-0. We've had some inglorious defeats. We've had some fighting while going down on the side of the Seoul Dynasty. And we've had, I'm sure, a lot of stimulating matches, which are definitely going to generate a lot of stimulating conversation from the Shanghai Dragons and Dallas Fuel fan base as they assemble their collective canisters of cope to try and figure these ones out.
Well, I hope you guys have your cope canisters filled for tomorrow. We'll be live same time, same place for the continuation of the Overwatch League Spring Stage for the Eastern region. Thank you all for watching. Good night, good morning. See you tomorrow.